back, everyone, to Summer of Heroes Batman Series 1 through 8. We are doing Batman Forever. Didn't realize this was Tim Burton still directing, by the way.
No, he produced.
Oh, he produced. That's what it was.
Schumacher directed.
Okay.
Yes.
So was Schumacher... He did the last ones too?
No. Burton directed the first two. Then produced this one while Schumacher directed. And then Schumacher directs Batman and Robin as well.
Didn't we not have a discussion about this in the last couple of episodes too? I feel like we've had the same argument before.
Anyways,
it's okay though. At least it gets our viewers caught up and they skip the other 2 episodes.
Oh,
3.
This series is an 8-week superhero-filled summer of Batman. We're going to watch all 8 Batman movies, starting off with Batman 66 and ending with The Dark Knight Rises. Yes. Right? Is that the right one this time?
Yes.
You like that, huh?
There you go.
We're going to rank these movies against each other to find out which one is the best Batman movie ever made. And, of course, it is solo. This does not count the Batman versus Superman garbage. Although, I did see this week that there is going to be a Ben Affleck Batman solo movie.
See, the last
so
thing I heard,
it's actually going to happen?
The last thing I heard, he was done.
It's a coin toss. We'll pull that.
Speaking of coin tosses,
we'll write that down.
Coin tosses. We're going to talk about those today too.
Before we get into the recap and everything, let me introduce who's with me. To my left is Mr. Chris Rivers. Do you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Even though he looked directly at me,
looking at him, and I was like, "Oh,
trying to throw you
talking
off.
about his laugh, not this." That's okay.
I was trying to throw you off. And the thespian himself, Mr. Jack Etsko.
Hello.
You're not going to address the crowd, our fans?
I waved.
Audio listeners.
Hello, people.
Chris, what trivia do you have for us this fine week?
Well, a lot of this was pretty interesting. This film came out June 16, 1995.
I'm noticing a lot of June movies.
I would just like to note this is the first film we're reviewing that was released while Tyler was in existence.
Touche.
This is really...
Touche.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'd also like to add a note that we are reviewing all these Batman films, and they all came out within like a June-July timeline, which is kind of interesting in itself.
Summer blockbuster.
Oh, okay.
Go for it. Yeah.
This has a running time of 122 minutes. It's the shortest Warner Brothers Batman.
Thank you, Jesus.
It had a $100 million budget.
That's
so
nice
more than any of the other films.
Okay.
And it made $336.5 million at the box office, which was
why they made a second one.
Still less than Tim Burton's first Batman film.
And that's why I ranked it so high.
Suck it, Schumacher.
Oh, no, we won't tell him that yet until the next one, which I'm very interested to see how that's going to go.
A few things about this. Apparently, supposedly, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones did not get along during the production of this movie.
Actually, I knew about that myself.
And,
so it's kinda...
supposedly, Tommy Lee Jones told Jim Carrey he hated him and his films.
What was the direct quote? Do you have it?
No.
If I remember correctly, it goes, "I cannot stand your buffoonery." He literally gave him a hug and whispered that to him as they were in mid-set. It was kind of an awkward moment.
I like Tommy Lee Jones.
I like both of them.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand why.
They considered having Michelle Pfeiffer reprise her role as Catwoman for this film.
Okay.
I think that was when Tim Burton was still attached to direct.
Yeah.
Which would have made a lot of sense.
Well, they mentioned her in the movie.
Michael Keaton decided not to return after learning of the new tone of the film.
Yes.
He didn't like the fact it was going to be more cartoonish and not as dark.
Yeah, well, I have that as my synopsis notes too. As I was doing that.
When Tim Burton was still in line to direct, Two-Face was not part of the story. He was only going to have the Riddler and potentially Catwoman.
Have a solo villain.
Yeah. Chris O'Donnell actually drove the Batmobile himself during the Joyride scene.
I can see that, though.
He curbed it and didn't offend her.
The one and only time he got to ride the Batmobile.
Kilmer and Schumacher supposedly did not get along.
That's awkward.
A little bit. Kilmer learned he was the new Batman while in a Batcave in Africa doing research for The Ghost in the Darkness.
What's The Ghost in the Darkness?
Okay.
It's a film that he did around this same time.
So it's almost like fate, is what it was.
He was in a Batcave when he found out he was going to be Batman.
Or dramatic irony, if you want to look at it that way.
He also lost 5 pounds during the opening fight scene because of the weight of the bat suit.
This is the extra 2 pounds for the nipples.
Yeah. Well, they weren't technically. Technically, this one didn't have nipples. It was just the areola.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh.
Okay. Touche.
They got on to me about my technicalities last time.
Here's one that Jack will like. This is the first appearance of Arkham Asylum in a live action film.
I know.
I did put that in. I did put that in.
Rene Russo was originally cast as Dr. Meridian when Michael Keaton was attached to the film.
Rene Russo, interesting choice.
When when Val Kilmer got the role, because of the age difference, they recast the Dr. Meridian role with Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jesus.
Now.
Yes.
We'll talk about it, I'm sure, next movie.
Scheduling conflicts on Braveheart prevented Mel Gibson from accepting the role of Harvey Dent Two-Face.
Thank you.
Oh,
well, if you've ever seen him in the film The Man Without a Face, no, where half of his face is, I think it's just half is disfigured. He does a really really good job in that dramatic role.
Why didn't they bring back Lando? It's still the same timeline.
Billy D. Why didn't they bring back Billy D?
They wanted someone else.
They wanted a white guy.
I don't know about that, but yeah. That's kind of an interesting choice instead of going back to Billy D. Williams, which would have made more sense because of the continuity aspect of the movie.
But the continuity is all over the place.
Yeah, at this point, in time, the timeline is really
jacked to hell.
It's out there.
Here's a couple of interesting things. So, Leonardo DiCaprio turned down the role of Dick Grayson because he didn't like Schumacher's direction.
Okay.
And remember, now that seems like but back then this is a pre-Titanic.
Yeah,
Leonardo DiCaprio. So
honestly,
I still think that would have been good, though.
Honestly, I think Leo made the better choice of going with Titanic than with the Batman Forever. Honestly,
Titanic didn't come along for another couple of years. Still,
that could have.
Mark Wahlberg was also considered for the role of Robin.
Oh, that would have been. Hey, Batman. Hey, where are we gonna go? Hey, is this the Batcave? Hey, I'm Mark Wahlberg. Hey.
Only because I see Marky Mark's other acting choices in movies currently today. I am. Nah.
Do you know about my stuffed bear Ted? Hey, can he come with you too?
Thunder Buddies.
This was surprising to me that this even came out. I don't know if Nicole Kidman let it be known, if it was someone on set. Because normally this, as far as we know, doesn't happen. The bedroom scene where Val Kilmer's in the Batman suit.
He comes in from the bouncer.
She's got the sheet. Mm-hmm. She was actually nude underneath the sheet.
Good for her.
Well, normally in these sorts of situations, the actress would have on some because they're not going to show anything.
Yeah.
Right.
So, hey.
Yeah. How is the Blu-ray of this one?
I didn't get to watch this on Blu-ray.
The Blu-ray is actually, it's really good. There's a couple
about that scene, but
that scene.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
How detailed.
Did you see her Batgirl areolas?
No comment.
I think the Danny DeVito is still amongst us.
A little bit.
Just wanted to know.
A little bit. Joel Schumacher wanted Nicole Kidman for Poison Ivy, but he decided to save the character for Batman and Robin.
Oh, so he had Batman and Robin kind of
did
planned out
know?
already.
Okay.
He was already thinking.
That's
he decided
interesting.
Poison Ivy would give the film one too many villains.
Oh,
so, 2 to 3 is not enough.
Yeah.
We're gonna call him out on that in the next movie.
For it. Tommy Lee Jones' makeup took 4 hours to apply every day.
I could see that.
I'm starting to see a pattern with all the special character makeup that all the actors have to go through. All of them have been like 4 hours.
I don't know
to do.
Heath Ledger's. I'm sure that one couldn't have taken that long.
I don't know.
Maybe.
Wolf.
Probably the
The scars.
The scarring and everything.
The scarring, actually, we did that with a friend of mine in Halloween one point. We actually mimicked...
Scarred a friend of his.
Not literally. Well, we actually did the experiment with spearmint gum and spearmint tape. Spirit tape and spirit gum.
Spearmint.
Sorry, not spearmint, not the gum. Not bubbly. It's been a very long day.
What a bubbly idea.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, Punch, really? We haven't even started this movie yet. But we tried applying the character makeup for the Heath Ledger Joker, and it took about 30 minutes, I say, for the scars to seal and take effect. So maybe not as long. Maybe about.
You're also amateurs.
I think we did pretty good on that one.
I've seen Face Off at least 30 episodes.
You're pro.
You can say semi-pro.
I've seen the movie.
I've seen the movie.
I'm a veteran. I've seen all 3 seasons.
So, an interesting one here was Bob Kane said Val Kilmer's portrayal of Batman and Bruce Wayne was the best up to that point.
Did he have a
Up to
cameo on
that
this
point.
I don't think so.
I didn't know if he was doing a Stan Lee thing.
He never lived to see Bale and Affleck in the role.
Oh,
Bale,
yeah,
I think he would have enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Affleck, probably. Gossip Gertie, the gossip columnist that is initially interviewing Jim Carrey and then turns when Bruce comes in.
Oh, the equivalent of Joan Rivers of Gotham City,
yeah.
pretty much.
She was portrayed by Elizabeth Sanders, which was Bob Kane's wife.
Oh.
So
okay.
There's a nice
That's
little
kind of
tie-in.
cool.
The character of Dr. Meridian was created especially for this film.
Yeah, because I was about to say, I don't
She's
ever
never been a
remember
comic
that
book
name.
character, ever.
This is the first movie to refer to Batman as the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for a final one, this is a what the were they thinking? Because apparently he was considered for it on top of his wanting the role. Michael Jackson wanted to play the Riddler.
I remember hearing that, so
I don't remember that much of it because I wasn't really into much gossip as a kid. I was kind of, how old was that? Was it 19? When did the movie come out again? 1995. 5. Okay.
That's
so I was about,
just no.
I was like 8 years old at the time, so I wasn't
Is
really
this
interested.
Black
in,
Mikey or White Mikey?
I think he had transitioned at this point.
How many no jumps?
Mid-90s, there was still some no's there.
Okay.
I think. But it was also just body type and the way he could move.
Mm.
I think that would not have been a good role. I think Scarecrow would have been better for him.
Ooh,
realistically,
that would have been
because he
interesting.
had length to his limbs. And
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
My thing is, I love Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I really
I
do.
didn't.
You didn't?
No.
You like Michael Corey Smith, don't you?
Yeah.
From Gotham. Yeah.
And Frank Gorshin from
Yeah.
the 66 film.
Yeah, he did really good.
Really
I
good.
forgot that was another Riddler. I
Lord.
liked it, but every time I watched it, all I could think of was Ace Ventura. Every time he did something, I kept thinking Ace Ventura.
That was his shtick for the 90s, was because that was what made him so famous, was the fact that he could do physical comedy to such extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember them saying that on The Mask, he saved the production at least a couple $1 million because he contorted his face in ways that they didn't have to use special effects.
Yeah.
Besides his hair.
But
I mean,
I don't know. He was not.
His energy was all over the place. There was like no sense of control, and I think that's where I got the sense of confusion and frustration with this movie too, because the movie wants to be serious, but at the same time it wants to be lighthearted, energetic. But there's a way to make it work. But the fact of who they picked for the villains was what made it worse than what it could have been.
I thought Tommy Lee Jones was good as Two-Face.
He was good, but the way they portrayed Two-Face, it was like, is this Joker or is this Two-Face? I'm confused.
They portrayed it differently.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't know. I thought there was multiple ways they could have done that.
Which part of that's direction.
Yeah.
I don't think it was on the same level as Aaron Eckhart.
But then again, look at
the Dark Knight trilogy.
But then again, look at the director that directed that production.
Right. They took it completely seriously. This was some over-the-top comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the one note I have is that they actually took the sympathetic aspects of the Penguin and applied that to Two-Face. That might have worked a lot better.
I think if they had shown us a lead up to how he became disfigured, and not just that quick flashback.
Yeah, just a little quick flashback.
It's like, all right, that's not enough for me to care.
That's what Schumacher already made that first mistake of by putting all the villains' origins in a TV web, because he did that with Batman and Robin too with Mr. Freeze. It's like, oh, here's the video footage. Okay, that's all you need to know. We're moving on.
Yeah.
So.
You ready?
Yeah, this is gonna be my life for the next couple weeks now, because we're at the halfway point. Yay! Anyway,
is
so
the fourth movie?
Yeah, it is the fourth movie, so we're at the halfway mark.
Man.
This is awesome.
So I got some things planned up for the finale.
What a way to end it on the last.
Oh, Lord.
What a way to.
Don't want to know.
I'm scared. I'm very scared. Glad everybody else gets to drink water and relax while I get to. All
Shut
right.
up and talk.
All right, fine. We've been talking. Anyway, so once we officially start the movie with a new soundtrack, and the way we're going to introduce the characters via their flying names in front of us in the screens, we get to see the different color associations with all the Val Kilmer, Chris O'Donnell, and Tommy Lee Jones, and all the names flashing by. So, and we are already starting off what feels like it should be familiar, but it isn't, because we're seeing Batman get suited up, getting ready for another night of patrolling Gotham City. We're about to stop more crime, so on and so forth. It's all very dramatic, big, dark.
It's a much sleeker logo too.
It is.
That's what Burton went with for the first two.
Yeah, it kind of transcended a little bit better. I will give it that much. But then it was where like the Batcave too. It has that familiarity, but like everything's like more connected too. So, Tyler, we're good.
You're good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I was like, I heard voices. I'm like, Tyler.
Doing some promo.
Fair enough. But anyway, but he climbs up the stairs. The new Batmobile is revealed, because this is Schumacher now. It's not Burton anymore. This is a new Batmobile, new Batman.
Sure enough, the wheels.
The wheels look nice.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the dolphin fin.
The model,
the
Batmobile. I used to, as a kid, I thought that was like the coolest thing because of the blue and everything. It kind of like had that like neo retrospect, like cyberpunk kind of feel to it. But now looking back at it now, it's like Blade Runner has done it so much better in so many ways.
They were trying to make this film to appeal to the MTV generation.
Right.
That makes sense.
It makes total sense now. But another aspect that has changed now is that, yes, it looks like it has a darker atmosphere to it. Or it looks like, it's the same, but with a fresh coat of paint. Alfred says, "Can I get you a sandwich, sir?" And Val Kilmer says, "I'll get drive-through." And I remember sitting in the house, and everybody was just kind of laughing, but not laughing as in, "Oh, that's funny." It was kind of like, "Oh, really? This is what we're gonna start off with?" Okay, so tone is already different.
It was not a great opening to the film.
When did we start giving Bruce Wayne glasses? Because if you notice, like in the past several movies, he's had like those round rimmed glasses.
Yeah.
I don't like Batman with glasses.
I think I don't know. Would they be considered reader glasses, or is he trying to mimic Clark Kent?
No, I think that they're reader glasses.
Okay, reader glasses. That makes sense, because Keaton had them on for Batman Returns, but didn't have them all the time. But same thing with Val Kilmer. He kind of put them on for like, I guess a intellectual Sherlock Holmes-esque kind of atmosphere.
For
an
image.
Like, or for an image, yeah.
This is also the first movie we got Wayne Industries.
Very much so. A lot of firsts for everything that's going to come later on in the future.
So you
sequels.
finally know how Bruce Wayne makes
his money.
Yes. By making brainwaves. Anyway. So, also the soundtrack, too, is very different. It was, I don't know, how would you describe the soundtrack?
Eclectic.
Eclectic? Eclectic, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you've got U2, you've got Seal.
Yeah.
U2 was in it?
U2.
What song did they do?
I can't remember.
Or what was there? Was there like a score? It's like an actual song.
Yeah, there was.
Song.
Oh. Yeah, and there's also the score. I'm talking about the score too. Like I know about the multiple bands that were in the soundtrack in itself, which I think was really popular at the time. It sold a lot of records.
You could not get away from Seal's "Kiss from a Rose."
No, very popular song. But I'm talking about like the actual orchestra that plays anytime Batman is about to do something superheroic, like the very high pitch trumpet and everything else, the drum and everything. It's like You know, the Danny Elfman soundtrack is very recognizable, and it's very dark, very mysterious.
And you can clearly tell he's not part of this.
Oh yeah, no, and this soundtrack is very shrill, loud in my retrospect.
The whole visual aspect of it was like very loud as well, with so many neon.
I thought it was a rave. In fact, I put that down for like the future scene we're about to talk about. So. Batman is on his way to Second Bank of Gotham on the second anniversary in which Two-Face was caught, which was, told by us by the introduction of Dr. Meridian Chase, played by Nicole Kidman. And we also get to see the philosophy behind Two-Face. Everything is based off of luck. You can't make up your own luck. It's off by chance. 50-50, heads or tails, you live or die. So he does that with the security guard, blind, clueless, doodah, luck. That's one of his famous lines. Of course, his big reveal of who he was as Two-Face was not really well done. There was not enough shadows to cover his face. Even the DVD, you could already tell it was like all purple and like there's tiger stripes on the left side, but former DA outfit on the right. So we already know it's gonna look as horrendous as it's gonna look. So, they go to investigate Two-Face robbing the second bank on his anniversary. Batman is introduced to a new love interest, Dr. Chase Meridian, played by Nicole Kidman. Chase and Bat actually have a discussion about Two-Face and his obsession with duality and flipping the coin. And they also talk about, this is something that was not really introduced in the other two Batman films too, was the psychology of what makes a supervillain, and also at the same time, what makes a superhero. So, of course, now we have Dr. Meridian Chase already going after Batman Bruce. I mean, the flirtation was almost instantaneous. It's like,
I don't know how Gordon was still standing there at that time.
Schumacher's like, we only got 2 hours to make this happen. Let's go.
I've been... Can y'all do this somewhere else? I'm trying to stop.
And Gordon's like, PDA, we need is there a specific file about this type of thing happening at the workplace? I don't get it. So also I've noticed about Harvey Dent and his animated posture, his body, his acting in general, Tommy Lee Jones, and seeing him in other productions like Men in Black and The Fugitive. This is such a different tone and aspect of Tommy Lee Jones I never thought was possible in other films. Because he takes himself very serious, and he's a very serious actor. He's a very dramatic actor. But the fact that he's constantly not laughing but cackling, animated, jumping around, it was really... It took a lot off of me for Two-Face. It was just... It was different.
He's not... You don't feel like he's dangerous.
No, you don't even feel like he's Two-Face either. He feels like he's another Joker ripoff, really, with all the laughing, the cackling, and the jokes that he makes too. Like at the elevator, he's like, "Open sesame," and then like the elevator doors open and everything else. He's just, it was all over the map already. So already I could tell there were going to be problems with just like his acting, and also Jim Carrey alone during the 90s was just everywhere.
Very animated.
So, while this was happening, Batman does come up from the... Speaking of the elevator, Batman does appear from the elevator and starts battling Two-Face and his men in the bank. Of course, we get the weird little sound effect with the bat stun gauntlet thing, whatever was thrown at the henchman, with the scrambling sound and everything, kind of awkward. So, of course, Batman overcomes...
I hated the security guard.
Security guard was a bit of a whiner, wasn't he?
I hated that guy.
It's a trap!
I was really wanting him to get killed.
It's like,
I was like, just let the acid eat him.
Admiral Akbar, you're not. Also, by the way, this is around the time that Batman the Animated Series was out, and it was at its peak, too. So that's probably another reason why Tommy Lee Jones's aspect of Two-Face was vastly different, because they actually did play him as a tragic character in the animated series.
And they should have done that here.
Yeah, and honestly, they should have, if they were looking for a more sympathetic character, because that's what Harvey Dent is. But we'll actually get to talk more about that in The Dark Knight, because they fleshed it out better and do it more. But this is Schumacher's production, so we're here.
Real quick, while we're on that topic, do you think we see Two-Face in Gotham's final season?
I think we will. And more on that,
I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gonna watch that here shortly.
Potentially with Charlie, but to be
interesting.
I think we will, because they've already introduced Harvey Dent in the show.
Yeah, I think you got to.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be watching it as well. So
you need to watch that show.
Definitely.
It's really good.
I may be starting that this week. Anyway, speaking of the guard, Batman does overcome Two-Face's henchmen at this point, and Batman goes to save the guard within the vault, but they are tricked to being stuck in the vault. Two-Face shuts the vault, locks it, and literally... It's a trap! Come, slam,
I hate the henchmen, too. They're all like... He made all of them wear the same exact garb, which is classic henchmen. But they all have like these weird piercings everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm just like, just because these guys have piercings doesn't mean they should be henchmen.
Yeah.
Come on, Schumacher.
Stereotype thing.
Get out of here.
So, now, also the other interesting thing is that the fact of how the vault is pulled out of the bank by a single chain, ripped completely out of the bank and dangled right in the middle.
90s.
From a helicopter.
From a helicopter.
It wasn't even like a military helicopter, so that's... What do you know?
The stakeout in The Dark Knight Rises made more sense than what's happening right now. But anyway... So while this is going on, Batman is trying to figure out a way to get out of the vault, which is being slowly filled up with acid, the same acid that has created Harvey Dent into Two-Face. And of course, my question was: hearing aids pop out of an ear?
Yeah. When did he get hearing aids?
It's like, I didn't even see it with a hearing aid in the first couple of seasons. Nope. It's just like I should have put down hearing aid machina.
I saw it, but my first thought was, oh, well, he's a security guard. He's got a earpiece.
Yeah.
And then, no, it's a hearing aid.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's my hearing aid. This is this.
I need that. My shoes.
I'm melting. Batman's
so
just like, shut up. I'm trying to hear the lock combination here.
Oh, so bad.
Please shut up. Anyway.
I don't think he was my only character I hated like that. We'll get to it.
We got so much more. Yeah. So we're literally like almost done with like the first 15 minutes of this film already. So the vault is opened up, of course. Batman figures out how to get out of it. Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face is upset, and they're trying to get Batman off the helicopter. Of course, the grapple hook ex machina thing, Batman's grapple hook saves the day once again by cutting the chain, putting the vault right back where it was ripped out of.
And I mean, that was...
Batman Adam West could figure that one out, probably.
I'm watching that, and as soon as it goes through the wall, and the vault starts to drop, and I'm like, okay, well, when that vault pulls on that hook, it's gonna pull right through that wall with the weight of the vault.
Apparently, Gotham uses a special cement
for it to just happen. To end up right back through the hole it got pulled out of.
Very convenient.
I mean,
insurance companies will like that a lot.
I mean, I understand. Batman's a genius. He's got the IQ equivalent of a genius. But even astrophysics will look at that going, that's not right. That's not how it should work like that.
It was in the script, guys.
So
suspension of disbelief.
Whoa, it really put me out there in the suspension there. So Batman continues to fight Two-Face on the helicopter. Of course, Two-Face decides to crash the helicopter not once, because usually when helicopters crash through one thing one time, it falls apart literally into paper. But no, it doesn't go through once. It goes through twice through the face of the equivalent to the Statue of Liberty, which looked like the Statue of Liberty, but it had the words Gotham on its...
You had to make sure it was not copyrighted.
But... Sure.
And this is really the first overt image that we get in the series.
Yeah, like where we are.
This is a
New York City. We didn't. Yeah, it was speculated. It was voted for, but now it is 100% confirmed thanks to Schumacher. To being on Gotham, because I just eventually called it just Lady Gotham, just for the sake of the fact of the games. Arkham Knight actually says it was called Lady Gotham. So, fun fact. So a lot of Batman
wasn't
nerd.
Fun, but it was a fact.
Yeah. Sorry, but it was a fact. So. While Batman is recuperating, he goes into work the next day as Bruce Wayne to review future productions that are happening in Wayne Enterprise. And this is, like Chris said, this is the introduction to seeing Wayne Enterprise.
Was this like the science division? Is that where they were? Is that what they said?
Like
science or R&D, I think is what they said.
It was R&D.
R&D.
I think it was in this scene. I didn't go back and watch it a second time because I haven't hated myself.
Not worth it.
In the end credits, you see, a character called Assistant. which I'm assuming was from this scene. One
Okay.
of Bruce's assistants, played by Jon Favreau.
No kidding.
Jon Favreau.
My hero.
So I'll have to go back
Really?
and kind of do some digging and see which scene that was. But yeah,
Okay.
because I just watched this
Trying to
last
think
night.
of the other
I didn't know
times.
that. Interesting.
Oh, you should have told me that because I've been looking for him today while I was watching it.
Now you guys get to go watch it again, while me, I have to go sit through Batman and Robin, and there's only one Schumacher within a week I can withstand. So it's one or the other, guys. I can't do both. Anyway, so Batman's reviewing the R&D department. This is where we are introduced to Edward Nygma, who is played by the very energetic, hypertension Jim Carrey.
I loved this scene though with him. Like he was just very much not listening to you could see his obsession with Bruce Wayne. And it was not so much about his work or anything. It was more so, I want to be partners with Bruce Wayne. It's been kind of my dream. And then he started to get a little bit demented when he got denied from Bruce.
Yeah, I think it's more than a partnership. If they could, because this is the '90s. If they did this in the movie in 2000 again or 2000 teens, I think they would have gone away a little bit more. Because I think Edward Nygma had kind of like a more unhealthier obsession with Bruce Wayne, other than wanting to be partners in a project. Yeah, because.
But
yeah.
I just felt like I like the Gotham version of Riddler more because he's neurotic, but he's not over the top.
Yeah.
He's still very intelligent, and he can still hold it together when he needs to.
We didn't really get like a whole bunch of intelligence from Riddler this movie.
No, we
like
didn't.
we got like spurts of it, but like they didn't focus on it. It was more so over the top is what they focused on.
And even though the device works, it's goofy as hell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I still would have loved to have one in my house, but
It's
the
the-
Nygma box.
It's the equivalent to what we have for VR today.
Right.
So kind of interesting. Anyway, so Nygma has an unhealthy attachment to Wayne. Wayne asks what Nygma is working on. Just kind of like Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne. He's just trying to humor, trying to be
happy.
respectful, and trying to be courteous to fellow employees, while the other employees are going, you don't want to know what he's working on. And he's like, give him a chance. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, yeah, I really shouldn't have given him a chance. So, and that's where we are first introduced to the box.
He's gonna give him a chance until he tells him call his assistant and set up a meeting.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not gonna work.
That's not going to work. Yeah,
He's
when he
like,
starts asserting himself.
Oh, you want my answer? It's no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair.
Because he was a very much so the, you could potentially take control of people's minds with this. He said, no, we can't. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Well, we don't know he was controlling the minds until like much later,
Yeah.
but it's the fact of like manipulating the brainwaves in itself already. That's what brings the line of it brings too many questions, and that's whatever forever plagues Nygma with becoming the Riddler. Is the fact that in itself brings too many questions. So, thank you, phone. So during the tech demo, Wayne is immediately pulled away from the bat signal after he does say to Nygma, "Look, we'll set up a meeting, have a meeting set up with my assistant." And Nygma says, "No, that's not going to work for me." And then Wayne's going, "Well, then the answer is no.
Yeah.
It's not going to work." And then Wayne. Oh, we already got that covered. So Bruce Wayne is
We're
summoned.
jumping ahead.
Yeah, I know. It's all good. No, that's all good. Just means we cut everything else down here. So Bruce Wayne is summoned to his office where he sits in his chair and goes through the bat tunnel.
Yeah, he
might as well just
what he
call it as it is.
He said, chair.
Chair.
And the chair just went, I was like, what if you just, randomly said that, hey, sit in that chair. I mean, it could be.
It's like, oh God, I'm sorry.
You have to play with your words. I said, you can sit in that device right there. Oh, you mean the chair?
Here, say right here. Say right here. You mean the chair? No, don't say it. Don't say it. Just say it right there. You're good. Okay.
Unhealthy
in this-
obsession with that word.
So and here's the other thing too. It kind of works because you notice when the doors open, Alfred tries to introduce him into the Batcave. It sparks. It kind of like has its own malfunction. I'm like, did you really test this out before getting into it? Is this the first time you're actually using this thing?
Right.
So already we're Batman's Bruce and the music starts swelling up again. I wouldn't mind it so much if it wasn't so repetitive. It wasn't the same track over and over and over again. So at least with Danny Elfman's track, it was different every now and then, but you could recognize it. So Batman is summoned to the bat signal, expecting Gordon. However, he is caught off guard by seeing Dr. Chase. who gets
I love Gordon
very
in this.
intimate very quickly with Batman in this scene.
Oh, I love Gordon in it though.
I saw the signal. What's going on? He's in his bathrobe and everything. It's like
false alarm.
If I was like Batman, I would have been like, man, at least I got a costume. Put some clothes on. So of course, well, no, not to her, to Gordon.
Must be crazy.
No, Gordon. No, Meridian wants to get with Batman. We already like that is his style. Schumacher wants to make sure that the audience is like, this is it. This is the love interest. Here you go. We're moving on.
She's the new Vicky Vale, the new
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Which she does bring that up in that scene of she did her homework and she's like, well, do I need to like wear leather and bring whip with me too?
See, now that's one of the things that I like the callback.
Yeah.
Right? But then later on, when he's debating, do I tell her, do I not? He says, I've never told anyone this.
I have that note in my phone.
This happened in each of the past two movies.
So I'm like, did Vicky Vale not cast Selena Kyle? Because especially
it's like ignoring certain aspects. And
you can't bring up this part of black leather or black latex and a whip, and then further down the movie say I've never done this before. Like you're acknowledging you did this,
right?
So,
And Nicole Kidman's character is looking the profile that the other two characters had: blonde hair, blue eyes.
She's a redhead.
Well, was she a redhead? She wasn't a redhead in the movie.
Yeah. She was blonde hair in this one.
She was blonde.
No, it was like a strawberry blonde. It had a lot of red to it.
I'll check it out after I get done with
that. It was the neon.
I mean, it's just the lighting in that movie was so confusing. It was hard to tell what was what. It was horrible. It was hard to watch at times. So while the love affair was going on at the Bat Signal, Nigma is currently working on his box, still trying to show Wayne that his invention is the way of the future. Still haunted by the too many questions aspect.
That's blonde.
That's strawberry blonde, at least.
Chris, when's the last time you had your eyes checked?
That's strawberry blonde, at least.
I think at least Tyler and I are going colorblind, or Chris is. We can't tell. Vote in the comments below. Anywho's. I love how the biggest argument in this one right now is like, what color hair was
the Riddler with that? With that laugh.
I could have been a way better Riddler. Anyway, Nigma is caught by the not the assistant, but the supervisor of the R&D department. He goes in and he says, "I told you that this project is canceled. I'm gonna go get the police."
And he fires him.
Yes. And Nigma grabs his coffee. I forgot. My brain just had a brain fart. I can't remember the name of it now. The
Nigma box.
Not the Nigma box. See, he hits him with the pot of coffee. Coffee pot. There. Vote in the comments below. Anyway. So
Lord have mercy.
Nigma hits the supervisor with the coffee pot, saying the line of "Caffeine will kill ya." And
I loved his one-liners.
His one-liners. I mean, one-liners spot on. Everything else though was kind of.
Like even down the road where like it was in the reporters, they were talking about this Nigma box. They said, everyone was afraid, the consumers were afraid it was going to turn you into zombies. Where Nigma said they said that about the original TV too, and here we are.
Yeah.
Like, true.
Fair. So, the supervisor has now become the first guinea pig, and while the experiment's working great at first, when Nigma sees that they're starting to lose power in the machine, he cranks up the amps and finally realizes that the machine can do more than just manipulate the brainwaves, but drain the brainwaves and give them all to Nigma, as well, powering up his ego, powering up his intelligence through this box. So, and of course, we have Jim Carrey's montage of improvisational fluttering of the mouth and game show hosts and tap dancing, feeding up your brain. And he's like, he's like screaming in his.
Bruce Almighty came out when he does That's all I could picture. Like I just kept seeing his other movies I've seen him in.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I guess that's Jim Carrey's mantra, his thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's his comedy shtick there, folks. So that whole thing I think was improvised too, believe it or not. Jim Carrey just like improvised that whole moment
I
there.
think he improvises 98% of his
Yeah,
crap.
he even gave Schumacher a hard time too, because he actually does say that. You remember that line he says, "Was that over the top? I can never tell." That was actually a line directly quoted from Schumacher. Schumacher actually said, "Oh my God, that is so over the top. Please stop."
Like, how do these people still have jobs with Schumacher? You're out.
I guess they kind of just like looked over it, going, "That's okay."
Watching this performance, though, I kept thinking about, God, I wish this was Robin Williams.
Oh, that was good.
Robin Williams would have done.
Robin Williams would have been a better Enigma.
But it'd been like
honestly.
a more mature Enigma and everything too.
Yeah, I mean, I could see his performance from 1 Hour Photo being applied into this Enigma for Batman Forever, and it would have been spot on. Quite honestly, I know Jim Carrey. I know Robin Williams was mad about the Joker, but honestly, I think the Riddler would have been more his style, because he could have just been throwing riddles nonstop with his improvisational comedy as well, because he was an improviser too, but he was more verbal in his improvisation. So the line, I'm not going to share it out loud because of all the swearing I did, because that was the first thing I noticed was the melodramatic acting that Jim Carrey has done. So with this newfound discovery, though, Enigma terminates his own supervisor. Rather than he getting fired, he fired his supervisor by literally throwing him into the Gotham River.
I've wanted to do that before. Not throw him in the river, but fire him at least.
I thought it was kind
do we
of.
need to talk?
Yeah. I thought it was crazy.
Okay.
This whole R&D department is on top of a dam, so I was like, that's. I mean, I guess that's where you could get more power from hydroelectricity. But I was like, it's an odd place to have, especially with an extremely breakable window going into the ravine.
But you wouldn't have the dramatic death scene that we would have gotten today, I get.
How he just removed the hat.
Yeah.
Surf's up, Big Kahuna! He does all of that.
I love it.
That's why I said Carrey acting number 2. So, of course, after the supervisor is murdered, Jim Carrey says into the camera, "Why hasn't anybody put you in your place?" Which means Enigma is about to unleash his vengeance upon Bruce Wayne. So, we also get to see Two-Face's origins, although a little less screen time. In fact, it's kind of a big slap in the face, because we were actually introduced to Harvey Dent in 1989's Batman.
Slap in the face to Two-Face.
Yeah. So, but the question
Will
is
that be
which
2
face?
slaps or?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the question is which face would
just
get
for
slapped.
equality purposes.
Okay, yeah.
Now the question is, what would be his good side anyway? So
it's subjective, I guess.
yeah, depending on the day. I don't know. Heads or tails. Anyway, so Alfred summons Bruce to Wayne Tower after hearing the incident. So as Bruce Wayne is watching the TV, because that's where he got the whole Joker thing and the Penguin was by, the true way that we get an origin story in this movie is by watching it on television with Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne's watching TV like the rest of us, what have you, whatever. So Alfred summons Bruce to Wayne Tower after hearing about the incident. And of course, Jim Carrey saying about finding an envelope on his desk, saying that it is the exact identical writing and behavior. I'm just like, are you serious right now?
You'll actually see it's the exact same writing, same thing, character.
Identical writing and signature. An obvious murder is obvious, and not only that, it gets away with it too. Yeah. And it's like,
that's true.
I mean, come on though. Come on. I mean, all right. So Wayne assesses the damage, and he tells his secretary that give the full benefits to the family, because of course Bruce Wayne being a good guy, not just being a playboy millionaire, but of course he's a very charitable billionaire.
Yeah,
well, billionaire
they
now.
Say billionaire this movie.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah,
okay,
they said it was like one of the first things.
Okay,
so
billionaire.
Cool.
Okay,
currency economy finally called up.
I wouldn't have noticed it unless you'd been saying something with these previous
the
films.
economy. Let's see.
Can't wait till we get to the Nolan films.
Oh Lord, this would be interesting. So, okay, and he assesses the damage, and he watches the security footage from the night of, which of course was reprogrammed to make it look like it was the supervisor about to commit suicide. And so Gordon does the quickest deduction in the history of Gotham police investigating. Yep, definitely suicide.
Yep.
Look at the note. Yep. So I believe this.
Good old Gordon.
It's written. He has a signature on it. I believe it.
Yep. And there's video proof. Don't see his face, but obviously it's him.
Yeah.
So
of course Bruce doesn't buy it, and this is where we also he is receiving the first riddle as well, which the solution is a clock.
Now let's say take the time out to talk about this.
Sure.
The riddles in this movie and the answers much better than the Batman 66.
I still miss the Sparrow with the machine gun. I mean, yes, this is much more logical, but...
And it actually...
You had to put some work into thinking.
Yeah, well, and you can see how the answers to the riddles make sense.
Yes.
And their conclusion from those answers makes sense.
Yeah. And not to mention that they rhyme, too, which was kind of a big thing if you played the Arkham games. The Riddler does that with his riddles, too. They kind of have a sense of rhythm to the word, so... It works. I mean, but it's still not as campy and funny as as we were hoping to be, considering how ludicrous this film has been a little bit thus far with the physics and everything else. So, after receiving the riddle, we are also now taken to Nigma's house, which is, ironically enough, a crossword puzzle factory, whatever that may be, or game show factory, whatever that is.
It was a small little spot.
A small little apartment, yeah, but it's like it really does match Enigma's personality a lot, with all the puzzles, the games, and the computer, and how much of a tech whiz he himself is. So, I mean, kudos to Schumacher with the sense of scenery. I mean, it does work, but the characters though, we'll get to it. So, trust me, we will get to it. So, we already discussed it with Two-Face. So, the next day, after Enigma plans yet another riddle, so he's given already 2 riddles with his signature question mark already, even though he has not figured out that he's going to become the Riddler yet.
That didn't make sense to me either.
Kind of weird, but I guess it's just trying to get a face to the prop, or the prop to the... I don't know, but it is weird that he has a question, his signature question mark complete, yet he himself is not the Riddler yet.
Yeah. He's throwing out all these different names later on.
Yeah, the gamer, or no, the
Puzzler.
Puzzler.
Which actually was a Superman villain.
Really?
Fair. Yeah.
We also got Metropolis. I think this is our first movie mention of Metropolis.
Yes. Bruce Wayne does mention Metropolis when Dick is wanting to leave Wayne Manor the moment he gets there.
We haven't even talked about Dick.
We haven't gotten there yet, but we will.
Haven't gotten
to the Dick yet.
Poor Dick. Anyway, next day, Bruce goes to the office of Dr. Chase Meridian because, quite frankly, Bruce doesn't know what... Wait, I so missed that, but that's okay.
Oh, it's okay.
I need to keep moving. So... Of course, Bruce hears a lot of commotion happening on the other side of the door. He thinks that Dr. Chase is being kidnapped or being
That was
beat.
The funniest scene.
And if you see those actual doors and how they work, the fact that he can actually ram those doors
from the top.
Yeah.
He's Batman.
I know he's Batman, but there's gotta be some logic to this. There isn't. The sword's my head. Anyway, so I did put down a hell of a lot of strength to break down that door.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he just didn't open the door. The door came completely off the hinges and falls face flat on the floor.
What kind of pull does she have to have a punching bag in her office, anyways?
I mean, I know.
She just asked, and they said.
Probably.
Sure.
Yes.
It's Gotham. I mean, it's Gotham. Go for it. I mean, it's like, we almost had a penguin for a mayor. Go ahead, have a punching bag in your office. I mean, that's, it's not the worst thing we've found. So, and this is also where Bruce Wayne, not Batman, but Bruce Wayne and Chase meet for the first time, because Bruce Wayne is keeping up his facade of being 2 people at once, and that comes up later on in the movie too. I'm looking at Chris Rivers writing his question mark on his notebook.
Doodling while you...
Fair enough. So Bruce brings Chase the second riddle to figure out the psychosis of his stalker, which she labels it down to the most professional words, wacko.
Mm-hmm.
So even Bruce Wayne says it's even a medical term, wacko. So, but then Dr. Chase says that it is a obsessive compulsive behavior mixed with homicidal tendencies. So we do get a psychological term with it. So I mean, I like that. Props.
Yeah, I love how they put that in there. The whole point of her character was to break down everything. Like, you even broke down Bruce Wayne, you broke down the Batman, you broke down the super villains. I thought it was awesome.
I thought that major props to Dr. Chase for this one, because it does help kind of expose the mythos a little bit more. So, let's see. So we find out the second solution is match. I can't remember exactly what the riddle was exactly, but it's the solution is the match.
Oh, it was what starts off. The end of it was what starts off red but ends up black.
Yeah. So, Bruce and Chase exchange awkward flirtation in the office. It's like especially when Bruce Wayne says, "I like to take you off. I like to take those clothes off of you." And just leaves it off the bed. Even with
like,
dude,
you can't do that.
What? I'm sitting there going, wait, what?
That's a sexual harassment charge. I don't care.
Of course
if
not
like Bruce Wayne.
I mean, like Dr. Chase hasn't done her own exchange with that too. It's kind of like she's like trying to talk about taking the rubber suit off.
Dress.
But it's just so the chemistry, the love interest in this stuff is awkward in the Schumacher films. So it's like, dude, do you even know what flirting means or how that's applied in acting? This is not flirt.
There are some scenes I wonder if they would have gotten better play out of the scene by just telling the actors to ad-lib. Like,
something.
Hit this keyword.
Yeah.
Here's the line to get you back on
that would have been interesting. That would have been interesting to see. I mean, from a theater professor's standpoint, for myself, could be interesting to say, okay, here's the words. Ad-lib something here to make a love interest between these two characters.
Just wing it and see what happens.
Just to see what would happen. That would be interesting.
Better than that.
Yeah, not what's happening here. So Bruce invites Chase to the charity circus, not charity ball, but the charity circus.
Because it's Gotham.
Yeah, because it's Gotham. Plus, we got to find a way to introduce Robin,
the flying
or Dick Grayson.
Oh, so happy though. That's just my favorite character.
I liked that the whole family wore the old Robin costume.
Yeah, I thought that was a good Easter egg. I will admit to that. That was an actual a good homage to the old costume. So, of course, Nigma is watching the charity stream as well. Well, it's not a charity stream, but it's a live.
That was kind of weird.
How would he know? Why would he care if he hates Bruce Wayne?
Well, he's obsessed with Bruce Wayne, so he's watching all of his stuff. I thought that was the weirdest thing.
He's really in love.
Is there nothing other?
That's the thing I was trying to talk about earlier. Yeah.
Is there not like any other TV shows that they've got that are just going to live stream this whole circus? I was like,
it's a big thing.
It's a charity thing, so maybe it's like on the PBS.
Oh, I'm
probably.
With you, yeah.
And plus, Gotham is
call and donate your money.
And plus, Gotham is trying to better itself, especially if it's quote unquote trying to be canon with the other two Batman films.
But it's not. But it is.
But it's not. It is. It isn't. What are we doing here? So this is we're introduced to the Grayson, so we got that done. During the next Grayson act, which they did their acrobatic set first time, then they do the death-defying act and the death drop. Mm-hmm. Death-defying death drop. Tomato. Death is involved.
Is that? I wish I would have thought about this beforehand, but is that where his parents, like in the comic books, his parents died, was trying to do the death drop? Because I mean that would. Because this wasn't their original. This wasn't Dick Grayson's original. His parents died because they died in a stunt, not trying to do this. Right. I wonder if that was a homage to just how they died in the comics or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was just a simple accident. I think Bruce Wayne was just feeling guilty that Dick Grayson's now an orphan, and that reflected within Bruce, so they kind of brought him. It wasn't until later comics that it was like, oh, it was sabotaged by a criminal. Yeah,
In the comics, didn't he drop his brother?
No.
Don't they lose their grip or something, and he blames himself?
Probably. There's so many different iterations.
It would take us yet another episode to go through the full origin of just Robin. We're not doing that. No. So while the next Grayson act is occurring, Two-Face takes the spot of the Ringleader and bringing his own version of a death-defying act, which is to place a bomb in the middle of the circus.
Again, it was the giant cartoony bomb.
Yeah. And of course Two-Face says you have literally 2 minutes to reveal who Batman is.
And this one had a timer on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was nice.
Yeah, it wasn't just a ticking.
No. But here's where it got crazy for me, right? Because Bruce stands up, and of course everybody's screaming.
Yeah.
So nobody can hear him. But he just stands up and goes,
I'm
Yeah,
Batman!
but shouldn't the
Why?
the Dr. Chase have heard him?
no,
She's
it was
still,
so loud.
I guess it was,
Still,
he
though.
did it. He said, "I'm Batman."
Yeah, the fact
I was
that
like-
he's still belting it out. If we could sit there and hear that while everybody else is screaming, I'm sure
Yeah.
Chase heard. Commissioner Gordon's right by there too. He's like,
Yeah.
did he just say he's Batman? Like, why would you like? He gave Alfred grief about it for 2 films, and now in this third one, Two-Face says, "Hey, reveal Batman, or you're gonna all die." Hi, Batman, over here, Bat shirt right here.
He should have said it louder. I mean, before.
Oh man,
I guess. I don't know.
But it's just every film we have the reveal of
So far.
Batman's identity,
Yeah.
yeah.
and it's like,
Batman 66. It would destroy their idea as a superhero. Batman, hey, I'm trying not to reveal myself, but try to, reveal it to at least one person because I really like them. Second one, don't really have a choice. All these people are crazy with me. Third one, the fourth one is like, hey, we're about to die in the circus, even though he himself can figure a way to get around the tent,
I will
knock
say
the guys
this.
out.
of course, no one in the place hears him, so he doesn't officially reveal it. I do like the way it gets revealed later.
Oh.
It makes sense.
Fair. Fair.
Completely makes sense.
The next part makes sense. This, however, it really kind of like makes everything that we have seen so far kind of go, what? So at the same time, too, Enigma has his new fascination with Two-Face, seeing the anarchy within Two-Face and seeing that there's another person wanting Batman, Bruce, or trying to kill everybody. Hey, he could be a handful. He could be handy. Let's hire him on. And as I said before, maybe a little too much because Jim Carrey's face as he's laughing in that TV screen was a little, shall we say, like Jim Carrey always is, over the top.
Yeah.
Little much. So the Graysons and Bruce Wayne actually do team up to stop Two-Face and the bomb. However, it costs several lives as Two-Face manages to seal the fate of the Graysons via killing them by flipping the coin. He gets tails, and Happy Day shoots up above and brings the whole
rig comes crashing.
yes, and that's what kills off the Grayson family. Grayson family, except for Dick, who is the only surviving member. So, of course,
That was crazy though, because like they did it. I didn't really comprehend it at the time, but until like the next scene, because like they didn't. They show them kind of falling, and then they show the people's faces. I guess you can't show people falling to their death and they hit the ground.
Yeah.
But like everyone was. They didn't really show it, so I was like, "Are they dead?" And then like that, you see Dick's face at the end, and they're laying on the ground. So okay, I guess they are dead. But
Now, and see, that's a scene that would have been completely different if they had let Tim Burton continue with his vision.
Yeah.
Because you probably would have seen him hit.
right,
Oh yeah, or at least have a camera pan within the audience, and they're just falling, and they like disappear within the center of the ring, and then they have a pan shot of them on the ground. So I could definitely see that, but of course, with Schumacher and Warner Brothers wanting this to be a little bit more kids friendly, still gotta,
Shit.
that's already. I think we're all saying it at this point. It's like, well, this would have worked, but it's not. So, of course, next day, Jim Gordon brings Dick to Wayne Manor.
and this does not make sense to me.
Why does this not make sense? This is gonna be
Because-
interesting.
Preach it, brother.
Richard Grayson looks to be almost the exact same age as Bruce Wayne, and like same height, almost same height and everything. And he's supposed to be like his ward, his his new.
He's supposed to be 8
orphan.
years old.
So I just
For God's sake.
Yeah, it just didn't make much sense to me. He's supposed to be like an early teenager, and this is like late teenager, like
He could
almost
have been
18.
Nightwing.
Yeah,
He really could have.
Like we said during the trivia portion, DiCaprio age-wise would have worked here.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
don't understand. I just don't.
And
The boy wonder is supposed to be a boy, not a teenage wonder.
And we can, and then we
and
would,
that gets even worse with the next movie for me. But
and then we would, then we would sympathize with the aspect of him being an orphan and everything too. But at this point, it's like, okay, well,
he could
we're
drive
sorry
a
that your parents
motorcycle
are
and all
gone.
this other stuff.
He
I
could
just
drive a
don't
bike. He
get
could do
it.
all these things. He's responsible for himself. He's okay.
Yeah.
He'll make it. So, yeah, interesting enough, I had that question. I'm old enough to be Nightwing already?
Right,
Question mark.
Just didn't make sense.
He had like a piercing. I mean, dude's
that was a big deal at the time too.
The piercing.
whole thing with Robin having a earring, and Schumacher said I wanted to make him more cool and
more hip.
Sure.
It's like, I don't think that did it.
No. I think his definition and our definition of cool are pretty different. So Bruce Wayne does offer hospitality for Dick. Dick does reject it, and we find out that Dick is wanting to go off and kill Two-Face. And
Rightly
of course,
so.
And yeah, justified. Wayne convinces Dick that killing Two-Face will not solve anything.
He said that anger just will
keep
eating you up.
And he keeps repeating this. He does repeat this. They do repeat this conversation more than once. So this is round one of, I want to kill Two-Face. No. Okay. And then, keep moving forward. Also, Bruce Wayne says, killing people, it's going to leave you lonely and miserable, and you will just keep kill. And Wayne says, I would never do it. And of course, I'm sitting there going, now
if there the past two movies,
it's like, now can we bring death toll back to these last two movies, especially the guy that you strapped the TNT to and throwing him into the dumpster. You killed Wayne.
Yeah.
You killed
lit
Booby.
On fire with the
Just literally turning the car around and then hitting the thermal block and then just
with this
going
movie,
away.
We've had 5 supervillains.
Yeah.
Three of those have died. The Joker. Mm-hmm. Penguin, and we'll get to the third one
spoiler
here.
alert, eventually,
so 3 out of the 5 dead,
and Catwoman has died multiple times already
but
too.
She's got 1 life left.
She's got 1 life, but
she's still out there somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah.
We'll never see her again. At least that one, anyway. So Wayne manages to convince Dick by bringing his bike in and having it gas up, but then he kind of shows off his little quote-unquote hobby, his garage, where he keeps all his motorcycles, his cars, and then...
He says, so what? You got a museum.
This is a car museum? It's like, Chris O'Donnell, shut up, man.
Right,
just give it a minute. It's like, we get it. You're edgy. You're, trying to rebel. This is not the way to show it. So, Alfred also shows off, food and everything. It's like, I'll just throw it to the dogs, which, bikes, food, you got a good life.
We've never we never saw the dogs either. I don't know what dogs he was talking about.
No. Interesting.
Maybe in a deleted scene.
I guess, It's kind of like the dogs from Clue with Tim Curry. We don't really, we get to see him for like maybe once and that's it. Yeah, there were dogs. Where? So, all right. During the funeral, this is another quote. Dick, after Bruce and Dick have their conversation, Bruce goes back into the manor and we are once again introduced to the origin story of Bruce's transformation to Batman, except now this time, instead of being left off with the Crime Alley deaths, we are now fast forward in time to the funeral, where Bruce Wayne, the younger Bruce Wayne, discovers the red journal left behind by his father. So we don't really know what's in the journal. We just know that Thomas Wayne has written in this journal for all his life, and that was the only thing that connected with Bruce at the time.
Very well written. His
very cursive,
very nice.
Very smooth, very elegant handwriting.
Especially for no lines on the paper.
But for that to suddenly pop into Bruce's visions after all those years.
Well, it's because he's taken on a ward. He's found someone who's kind of in the same situation. So his memories are his repressed memories are starting to come out. They explained it later in the movie, Chris. Pay attention.
Yeah, Dr. Chase does say...
You just didn't buy it.
No, the way that they kind of executed it was very unpolished. It was very jumpy, and it doesn't really give a very clear explanation as to why this particular scene is happening.
And again, maybe a deleted scene, because this film originally was, we said it was 122 minutes.
Yeah.
Originally, it was like 162 minutes.
Oh,
so they trimmed.
There's filler content out there somewhere.
They filmed 40 minutes worth of trimmed it out.
Okay, out of curiosity, I would have loved to see the extra 40 minutes. What would have happened, honestly? Because those 40 minutes could have actually fixed a lot of the problems in this movie.
I know it started differently.
Really?
It started with Two-Face showing how Two-Face busted out of Arkham.
He busted out of Arkham? What was that?
We didn't. Well, because of the second year of his capture.
Yeah.
So, that would have made sense. Yeah. That would have actually explained that situation a little bit better. Oh well, corporate meddling.
And that
I
would
love
make
it.
sense with the way that the formula has been for these other movies. It's been like the origin stories of the villains first.
Yeah.
And then we get Batman-esque things. That
Yeah.
would make more sense.
So, and I also like this conversation that Alfred and Bruce converse briefly about the incident before Bruce disappears yet again. Bruce saying that he feels as though he's partially to blame for Grayson's family's death, so he's like taking the responsibility. But once again, the funeral scene in his subconscious doesn't really explain the factor why he's thinking of this particular moment.
Right.
So Alfred and also with Bruce disappearing off into doing another patrol for Gotham City, Alfred is there to discuss with Dick. And this is why I like Michael Gough as Alfred. I think it was just at this movie that he had a fathership or sense of fathership with not just Bruce Wayne but with Dick Grayson too, and he was very nurturing to
about to have a Reservoir Dogs moment.
So
Dick.
So can't help it, Richard, Dick. I mean, so also
Every other word.
I don't name these characters anyway. So we also find out that this is not the first time that Richard Grayson was named Robin either, because
Yeah, he got it from
saving
Say
his
Richard, say Dick.
oh, not make up your mind. Which I said that to another character in this movie here shortly. So, yeah, we find out that Dick saved his older or younger brother. Older brother from another would have been accident, and he was dubbed Robin then too. So that's a
I
nice
thought that was kind of a call back to that.
It's an interesting fact. I like that too. So,
What does the R mean?
Robin.
I
Like,
hate
okay.
that so much.
At this point, if I was Batman, I'd be looking at Alfred going, are we just going to let everybody come down? Do you want me to just have a tour of the Batcave
Well, that
for
wasn't
Gotham?
Alfred's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that wasn't, but we'll get to that. So, Batman is on his patrol through Gotham City, and once again, he is ambushed by Two-Face and his gang, which Two-Face puts on this really weird costume and strolls a carriage and right in front of the Batmobile. Flips off the disguise, which I guess that's where Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin got the inspiration from, I guess. And of course we have the weirdest form of drifting for the Batmobile, where the wheels just suddenly
That was like
sink into the machine.
I love
just
it.
drift to the left.
I
for a
feel
little.
like we got some of the coolest Batmobile scenes from this movie.
It kind of reminded me of a video game level, honestly, with this
Yeah.
with the Batmobile just being trying to ward off the pursuers, and the pursuers themselves have machine guns attached to their car, which means they might have gone
so cool.
Which that would have been interesting if Dent got that research from the explosion from the raid of Axis Chemicals from the first movie. That would have been an interesting callback.
Yes.
That would have been an interesting callback,
They
but
they missed an opportunity.
they did, which
That's
was
a
a
lot
shame.
of opportunities.
So once again, Two-Face's mannerisms once again kind of reflected me back to a
Continue.
Yeah, I
you
know.
almost said her name.
So, his mannerisms were kind of reflected again a remnant of Joker. Once again, Joker's Two-Face. Wait, Two-Face is Joker. I'm confused. That's what I said during those things, because he's just like cackling. We'll drive, thank you very much, and he's just so cartoonish. So we also now have another grapple gun machina third, where the car just shoots a grappling gun up to a roof of a building, and it just literally drives up the wall.
But that was a cool little callback to the 66 series.
Which that I guess.
Going up the building.
Yeah.
And people looking out the windows.
Yeah.
Which was weird because when all the cars exploded and like there was a giant explosion.
Yeah.
Wouldn't all the people have died?
Yeah.
Like, especially
the
windows
casualty-
open, so just been just like shot in there
Again,
and
the
everything.
death toll rises for Batman. Batman is just not going
that
to.
wouldn't have been his fault though. They should have been able to see the wall coming.
I mean, it would have been nice if he put. It would have been nice if that Batmobile was going to say, "Hey, I'm about to shoot a grappling gun now. You might want to stop."
And you can always look at it like this: those people should have been inside watching TV, minding their own business.
Right.
Fair enough.
It's
Fair enough.
the 90s. TV wasn't that popular then.
So, and this.
Seinfeld.
What's Seinfeld? I'm just kidding. I know what Seinfeld is. I just don't watch crappy television. I'm a Friends guy.
Anyway.
Friends in review next year?
Yeah, let's
Sure.
Jesus Christ.
We're gonna review everything. Ever.
Oh my god.
Oh,
We're just gonna be called the Encyclopedia Nerdwide from here on. We're gonna be 80.
God,
We're gonna
that'd
be
be so
dead by
bad.
the time we're done reviewing everything, and even then.
they'd still be making content to things.
Oh my god.
Well, after we
Content
we
for
can review the
days.
Necronomicon.
Evil Dead. There we go. Oh, that'd be a good one for Halloween. Anyway. So Batman survives Two-Face once more, and Two-Face laments this factor to his two girls, which one of them is Drew Barrymore.
And the other's Debbie Mazar.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of... We had so many like famous actors and actresses in this movie.
Yeah.
Originally, they were going to be called Leather and Lace for what they wear.
Yeah.
And then, for whatever reason, they decided to rename them in the script Sugar and Spice.
And everything nice.
But they never tell their names in the movie.
Okay.
No, I got that.
Okay.
They never reveal the names in the movie, and the only time they come close, Bruce asks Drew
What's your name?
Barrymore's character, which would have been Sugar, what her name is, and she says, "You can call me anything you want."
Yeah. Drew.
Also, I forgot to mention that after the explosion with the cars and the Batmobile escaping, that's actually when Nigma is sitting at his computer trying to type up his new identity, which would be the Riddler. So, yeah, I did the whole mimicking thing. So he did the gamester, the puzzler, all these question mark man. And he's like, no. And then his little he could not do any of those until he had approval from his Chucky machine first, which was that thing looked god awful. It looked frightening. No, I know. It's like, why would
crazy.
Yeah, I guess.
It's a wacko.
So back to Two-Face lamenting. His girls are trying to appease him by making his favorite meals and drinks and all that, and this is where we actually get introduced to Riddler in full glory. So Riddler works together with Two-Face. He converts him into working with him instead of he's basically saying, look, instead of killing Batman first, why don't we, destroy what he has, his reputation, his mentality. Let's make a fool out of him first before we kill him. And the only way to do that is for Riddler to show off a completed first version of the Enigma box.
Yeah.
Which we get a little tongue-in-cheek Easter egg with the Warner Brothers in general, with the Looney Tunes.
With the Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Did you notice one was like not so much... One was like dark and one was light, and it was kind of the same thing with Two-Face. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah. So that was kind of neat how they did that. I thought it was kind of creative how they show that off.
We're now 30 minutes into the movie.
Don't worry.
I love how you do that every
50
episode.
Minutes.
This
is gonna be an ongoing thing in it. So... oh god, wait to see. I can't wait to see how you say that with the Dark Knight movie. Ooh. Anyway, so Two-Face eventually does accept it, but only after he does his initial coin toss. He can't accept anything or agree to anything until the coin says so. So he's controlled by the coin. So, and of course, being a movie, being the script and everything, he does have to accept it. So we are now pulled into the villain montage, which is Riddler and Two-Face running around robbing.
Where was Batman during this whole time of everything getting robbed and things like that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's like,
because they robbed like 3 or 4 different stores or businesses or whatever.
Yeah, but that's not big enough for him to...
It's Gotham.
But Two-Face tried to rob the second bank.
They've got to do something.
I guess. Yeah. I guess. So.
Besides, he had Robin to worry about. He was trying to decide how he was going to
Baby Brain,
Dr. Meridian. And...
I don't know. Also, not to mention the fact that when Riddler smashes the glass case, if you ever notice, he's picking up the big diamond first already. He tries to go for it, but then they cut him they cut Two-Face, and then they cut back to Enigma, holding the itty bitty diamond. So they literally switched diamonds on him. So Two-Face came in with the bigger diamond. Like, did we not agree that day or disagree that day that shot should stay in the film? Just a thought. So while this evil version of the dynamic duo continue their robbery, Dick is also showing off his kung fu abilities via the laundry.
That was the dumbest scene.
There could have been other ways. There could have showed it, like,
he could have found Bruce's gym and been working.
Been working out and doing some.
Dick would have been like doing his circus flipping, and he could have done like a little taekwondo during the whole flipping around, because he showed that too before he goes into that large door. He's doing all these flips and acrobatics,
and the water.
Show that, not him
when he was
doing
doing
nut
that,
shock with the saw.
when he was doing that, spinning the thing and then squeeze the water, I was like, what was the point in that? There's water everywhere. But
Don't you
whatever.
have a dryer?
Right. It was sitting
This
right
is
beside it.
This is 1995, right? We have
Oh,
dryers.
yeah.
Holy
Spot is-
mother!
It's not at the top.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, and also Bruce receives yet another riddle. So he gets the chess pawn one. I'm trying to remember. Was it the chess pawn one? Yeah. When does he receive this? Oh my goodness! I know they show the kung fu abilities, but there was something.
You wrote it all down, right?
Yeah, I did. Where did my notes go? Okay. Oh, I know where. Alfred receives it through the mail because this is at the time where Nigma is showing off the completed version of the box.
He's becoming an entrepreneur now.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
After robbing those banks and convenience stores so
Because
awfully
Pitney
quickly.
Bowes' home postal thing.
Here's the thing that drove me nuts with this movie was that there were so many significant time jumps, but we don't know exactly.
I don't feel like they
where.
were that big of time jumps, like the way they were doing it.
How
They just didn't portray it right.
How did Nigma get his huge lair
Right.
within just
that's-
3 convenience stores? How
With
did that
all the
happen?
lights. Why would you have so many lights everywhere? That was like
Yeah.
the big theme of
What
this
is-
movie.
Deleted
is it?
scenes.
Once again, that 40 minutes, man, could have saved this film. So,
I won't go that far.
that's true.
maybe. So, Riddler makes his box into reality rather quickly and begins his plan to dominate Gotham with the use of television, which you brought up that quote of,
Turn them into zombies.
turn
and
into
everything.
zombies, and Riddler says, well, they said that about the TV first, and look where we are now, which is the tongue-in-cheek humor there. And of course, we're watching Nigma just sitting there and getting all of his
And that didn't make any sense to
brain
me.
cereal.
How does he go from his extremely short red hair to his normal hair of Jim Carrey?
How does he have time to dye it back and forth between things?
That's wig?
Is it just
I
an
don't know.
on and off switch? Does he just snap his fingers as he say Shazam while he's when no one's looking for DC right purposes?
One more thing I didn't like about the character.
And then also in the comics, he didn't really. I mean, if he was a redhead, he was naturally redhead. If he was brown hair, he had natural brown hair. He never really did anything else with it. So
That's why we didn't write this movie, boys.
thank God. Anyway, we wouldn't. The next scene, and also. Between these montages, we also see Dick trying to explore the door that will eventually lead to the Batcave. And of course, Alfred and Dick saying, what's behind this door? Alfred says, Bruce Wayne's dead wives. Just a silverware. This is the closest thing to a joke we'll get from Alfred. But anyway, and of course, the next scene, I kind of wrote these, that's what happened. I wrote these montages back and forth. So I was trying to say, this is what happened with the Riddler and Two-Face, and this is what happened with Grayson. So, and eventually Grayson does get into the Batcave through his acrobatics, which that should have just been the montage right there. Slides onto the floor, through the door, and of course it was the silverware, so Alfred wasn't lying.
No.
He just didn't say what was
All of
behind
it
the
goes
silverware.
down the stairs.
Yeah, he just tumbles.
He should have taken a lot of injury from that.
Yeah, but once again,
But
this
he
is...
pops up and he's like, "Wah."
He doesn't even go whang. He just smiles at Alfred, and this is the one and only time we get to see Alfred give his own version of the bat glare, because Michael Keaton has been doing the bat glare.
What was the security system saying? It said
Intruder alert. That's what it's supposed to say.
Probably
What's it
yawns
saying?
after he talks a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't saying alert. It said intruder, and then I couldn't tell. Both times that the said intruder, I could not tell what it said after that. I didn't know if y'all. It was just a pet peeve of me.
What I've heard was just intruder alert, and that's what I've heard from it. But the way that the voice pronounced it, though, the diction
was
it had,
different.
it was kind of like alert, or something like that.
It was weird.
It didn't pronounce its T's fully. So, again, we're back to seeing Bruce and Chase have yet another intimate moment. Of course, Bruce finds out that Chase has been doing a little bit more extensive research
She
on
really wants to have
Batman.
some Batman.
Yeah, and
that
this makes
bothered me.
Bruce subconsciously jealous of himself.
That was weird.
Okay, and of course, I don't want to forget that Dr. Chase actually gives Bruce her dream doll. This was introduced in the earlier scenes, too.
Right,
That
a little split down the middle, black and white.
Yeah, which I thought that was interesting for the duality aspects of it, too.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed that this movie is trying to talk about, too, in terms of theme, was obsession. Like every character is obsessed about something, and how obsession is addressed. Of course, it doesn't address it fully. Alfred isn't obsessed, but
obsessed with laundry, maybe.
He holds the whole thing together.
Yeah.
But of course, that could have been a good thing about Alfred, giving a quick monologue about obsession and how that could lead to ruin. I mean, that could have been a thing, but they didn't. So,
maybe
Schumacher.
it's a deleted scene.
Schumacher. is that going to be your excuse every now and then? It's like, when in doubt, deleted scene. So
all the good stuff got deleted.
And Bruce actually does start to explain his tragedy to Chase. And Bruce also reveals the new memories to Chase, while Bruce discovers Chase has a bit of a bad fetish. So, the intimacy is interrupted by Alfred once again, informing Bruce that that Dick GTA'd the Batmobile.
He says he stole your car.
No,
Mercedes?
sir. No, sir. The other car.
The Bentley.
No, sir. The other car.
I've got to go.
For God's sakes, it's the Batmobile, Wayne!
Did they not,
what
was
other
this
car?
not a big deal with him with his little FaceTiming tech on his watch?
The smartwatch, the early prototype.
Was that not a big thing back in the day? I don't know. I guess it's Bruce Wayne.
The other thing I made a note of while watching that scene was like, Alfred could have just stunned Dick, keep him like sedated or something like that in the Batcave until Bruce got home and like, look, he got into the Batcave. I had to do something. It was upon your protocol. No, he just like, I'm going to take the Batmobile. Okay, go at it. Oh, I'm going to tell Bruce about this. So,
take that, old man.
Yeah, it's like, because, stun him. At least till Bruce gets home. So, Grayson takes the Batmobile to the worst part of Gotham, of course, with the joyride. Which is, the worst part of Gotham is depicted by a rave. Because
he does save a girl's life, though.
He does save a girl's life. So we're seeing the subtle hint of him becoming... we're seeing him subtly become the hero then.
Who, in fact, did you know that was Val Kilmer's daughter?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
No, I have no idea.
Like, she was a little old for Val Kilmer.
I think... Out of all these episodes, I think this is the one
got started really early.
We got really off tilted really quick. Man. So,
wait till the next one.
Oh, Lord. Hold on to your capes. Anyway. So, another thing I said about my notes was which is depicted by rave.
Metal Batman.
Because, sure, everything else in this movie looks like a rejected rave. So, and also, of course, why not make it even cornier than with the fluttery music with the kiss from the girl? It's like, thanks for the save. And Chris O'Donnell's going, I could get used to the superhero stuff. And it's like, really? These are the lines I was telling you about earlier being questionable. Yeah. So...
I understand.
Grayson saves the girl, but eventually becomes overwhelmed by the clan. The skull guy claps his hands or whistles or what have you, and everybody just comes down and tries to kill Grayson.
Don the Dragon Wilson.
Really? Cool. Didn't know that.
I don't know who that is.
Keep going.
So, Batman does eventually catch up to Grayson, stops the madness. Dick confronts Batman about the night of the circus, and of course he says, Bruce Wayne would have sacrificed him to save your family. He would have, which he kind of did. He did kind of stand up and say, Army, I'm Batman. Well, I tried.
Yep.
Your turn.
Plain C.
It's like, I addressed it. I called it. Nobody listened. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing more errors in this movie as we go along. So, once again, the topic of obsession comes up about Grayson wanting to go after Two-Face, and Bruce Wayne says if you kill him, killing is going to be all that you do throughout the rest of your life, and you will never be able to fulfill that hole, which, once again, I'm calling Bruce Wayne a hypocrite, considering the fact the last two movies. So, lather, rinse, repeat was already been mentioned before. Once again, being submitted with, don't do it. Okay, all right, we're done.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. No. Okay. So,
Grayson. As I say, not as I do.
Yeah, pretty much. Grayson proposes to work together in this scene, however. So, but of course, Bruce being Bruce, he rejects the idea. He always works alone. So, once again, Nigma reveals his updated Nigma box through the use of another ball, a Gallo event. So, this time now, the box is used to go into the brain, manipulate the brain to produce holographic images of their fantasies, while box goes into their brain, it also extracts information. So this box can grab as much information as it needs. Of course, this is a very elaborate trap to get Bruce Wayne to reveal himself eventually to become Batman. So once again, we talked about the news lady, the news reporter. What was her name?
Gossip Gertie.
Gossip Gertie. So Gossip Gertie is talking about Enigma, making him the latest thing. Talk about the latest Enigma box, and of course she got a little too excited to see Bruce Wayne. She's like, "Oh!" That's why I called it like the Joan Rivers of Gotham City.
Bruce Wayne.
It just works. And it's even funny when Drew Barrymore says, "Man, he looks so cute in that suit. How come you can't pull that off?" And Jim Carrey's just going, "Shut up.
Go to work."
You're here to work. How's my mole?
God.
So, of course, Bruce and Enigma have their little witty back and forth, if you want to call it witty back and forth. It's just, a quick joke here and there. And Bruce questions Enigma about the updated box, and Enigma challenges Bruce Wayne to try it out. Give it a shot.
Did I miss the part where they deduce that Bruce Wayne is Batman?
Not yet.
No, I mean, because they've set this trap for Bruce Wayne.
I think they kind of set this trap in general, just like if they didn't really explain it.
They specifically wanted him in that machine.
I don't know if it was an obsession scene or something for Riddler. I don't know.
No, I think it's Bruce Wayne hears about this. He goes to the party, but they never really actually. I think we automatically assumed that. I think because they
wanted him because remember she has the backup battery or key or whatever.
Right.
And after he takes it and goes in,
so wouldn't that make it 2 and 2? Wouldn't that put 2 and 2 together for them already? Not having them to go into the machine. So that really doesn't work out for that scene, does it?
No.
Another plot hole.
No, because
I'm so glad for these talks.
She specifically got him in there, and he thought he had the only key.
Yeah.
So he was safe, and then she pulls one out and puts it in, and the machine comes back on.
Or that, Bruce Wayne was already, he already condoned the device once already, so he, just to be on the safe side in case Bruce Wayne does find a way to turn it off, there's a backup.
Right.
But anyway, regardless, Schumacher, plot holes galore. We're starting to get more into them now.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, we are. During Bruce's trial, while his information is being processed through the Enigma box, Two-Face comes in and abruptly sabotages the party, which destroys the machine. Nope, we didn't know that. Well, the audience knows that. Bruce doesn't know that yet. He figures it out at the end of the movie. Anyway, Bruce escapes, finds Alfred, gets back into his suit. The way he gets back to Alfred was kind of ow, in my perspective, because he is literally on this ladder and it's about 20 stories, and he's just sliding, and you hear the squealing sound all the way down. If an actual person tried to do that in real life, there would be nothing left of their hands. It'd be just nothing but blood.
He's got back calluses.
Back calluses.
He's Batman. They just weren't labeled.
Oh, Lord. Okay, so, and of course we find out that Riddler and Two-Face's partnership is not exactly what you call the the strongest of partnerships, because Riddler is yelling at Two-Face under his breath, going, "Why are you here? Why are you ruining my big party? What are you doing? Are we going to work together, collaborated on this, Yeah. And of course, Jim Carrey throwing in, like, preserve the movie rights, what have you, breaking the fourth wall subliminally yet again. So, also, Grayson escapes the whole event as well to go suit up in his the Flying Grayson's outfit, which would have been his future Robin outfit too. And of course, Batman is doing his thing with his stunt doubles and finding out, because you can tell who's the stunt double, who wasn't. And once again, the very well choreographed fighting scenes from the in the party. So of course, Two-Face's goons go after Dr. Chase. Batman saves her. Dr. Chase gives him the biggest makeout kiss in this whole production thus far, and Chase is asking him to come back to her place midnight after the whole case is done. But she is relying so much on that faith, on that time, because, it could have lasted, that whole crime scene could have lasted the whole night for all she knew. But no.
It wasn't going to happen.
No, so,
Batman would have made sure he wrapped that up.
Not according to Schumacher. The will of Schumacher was strong in this one. So, Batman saves Chase, letting Two-Face escape. Of course, Batman finds a way to go after Two-Face. He dives off the building, And, of course, Two-Face is waiting there for not one trap, but two. Of course, being Two-Face. So there were two traps already set up, which I have a thermal cape machina, because we didn't really have a thermal cape.
Machinas in this series.
It gets worse. Wait, I can't wait till I get into Batman and Robin's machinas, too. So we have a thermal cape, which he, hides himself in his cape, and then, of course, the fire goes over, and he survives the fire. And Two-Face, going completely ballistic. Why can't you just die? Shoots the whatever area that they're in, the construction area, bringing more debris down around Batman. Of course, buries him, and he is saved by Grayson, who is not yet named Robin in this yet, but of course. Well, how is Grayson rewarded? By good scolding from Bruce, and of course Dick is going,
"You shouldn't have been there.
You shouldn't have been there." And Dick's like, "Look, I'm a part of this, whether you want me to be or not." And
is this where we get where he's trying to come up with his name? Was it this scene?
It was Batboy Nightwing, which he does throw in the Nightwing title.
I love it, 'cause that's him and Hal Jordan are my favorite characters in the DC universe. Nightwing and Hal Jordan.
Would have made more sense if we would just gone with the Nightwing thing anyway, because
of his age and
not just his age, but his mentality too. It's like this could have been so perfect for Nightwing, but the fact that we have a Robin. But okay,
we're going Boy Wonder.
So also, I did bring up that note you said earlier, Tyler, about he's sitting at the computer, he's watching the video feed of Dr. Chase, and he's going, "Alfred, I've never been in love before." And I'm sitting there going, "You've never been in love? So what happened? Vicky Vale, Selena Kyle, you've never been in love before?"
This is different.
Yeah,
She's
sure.
a doctor.
Sure, Bruce, we're still in high school. All right, moving on. Anyway, so Alfred is once again being the father figure and trying to tell him, look, let her decide what she wants. And of course, he goes there as Batman, and they have the whole, her being under the sheets scene, and they had the longest makeup session on that on the camera. It felt like it took a while.
She kissed him. She goes, "I can't do this anymore. There's someone else." I'm like, you could have said that after the makeout.
She did this earlier with Bruce too. She's like, "I met someone. He's in this suit. He does this heroic stuff. I don't know what it is." And
I love the cheesy smile from Kilmer.
The bat grin.
Oh, she picked me.
Yeah.
It's like, haha, I win, Batman. It's like, wait, I am Batman. Wait, I'm not Batman. No, damn it. it's like having his own identity crisis there. And I put it down because the way that Chase talks about Batman in the beginning was so passionate, full of love, and then she does it again with Bruce Wayne. I met this person. I met this one in love. Girls got to grow up. And I'm just sitting there going, make up your mind. And of course, I love how this fight is the automatic decision of Bruce Wayne saying, "I'm done with Batman."
Is it just me though? I mean, like I said, I love the way that the reveal happens to her. It made sense the way that played out. Mm-hmm. But would it not have also made sense for him just right there to have pulled the cowl off?
Right.
And like,
no, it wouldn't make sense.
Because she's like, well, there's some. Yeah, look.
Have the big reveal right then and there and be passionate about it. And then you could have had a scene where they're both in bed and they would have been having a conversation like, if I keep going with this Batman thing, it might get you in danger. And then that would have been like, okay, maybe this thing will not be worth the risk. Instead of being like, okay, she kissed me. I win. I'm the favorite. I'm going to quit as Batman. What are you doing with the gummy worm?
I
told you said dick one too many times.
Anyway, so back at Riddler's lair, Two-Face and Riddler have their discovery of the identity of Batman through just the image of one bat. I mean, that could have been one out of hundreds of thousands of people, but this makes sense.
In the transmission, it asks what your fears can be, too.
Your deepest, darkest fears, yeah.
Yeah, so...
It could have been anybody!
He could have been afraid of bats.
He maybe had to run in with Batman, now he's afraid of him.
Yeah. Yeah, and they just draw this conclusion, which apparently they already knew, that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah. But then I
feel like we're going around the circle.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Facebook thing. It's not official until you have the data, until you have the actual words on your Facebook status. So I guess until Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey sat there, watched the video, they're like, okay, officially Batman, put it on Facebook, put it on Twitter, even though that crap didn't exist yet.
I just don't.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It
It
truly doesn't. Huh?
There's a bunch of plot holes.
It's so jumpy. It is all over the place. I mentioned that too. It's like just an image of one bat. Okay. Moving on. So Bruce retires as Batman after Chase decides to be with him rather sudden. Explanation doesn't even the explanation that Grayson and Bruce have about Two-Face yet again, third time. Bruce Wayne says, "Well, after you kill him, what's next?" Exactly, nothing. And I'm like, you could have elaborated on yourself going, look, I tried to kill Jack Napier, you know, have something to call back former movies if you're going to continue with this continuity thing.
Look, I killed the guy that killed my parents.
And ever since then, it's been a conflict. Yeah, and ever since then, it has been an ongoing void, and it continues to grow. Yeah, and it's like, I'm trying to redeem myself for doing those actions, and more of that happens, and it's like, it's an ongoing cycle.
Yeah.
But he's just like, you kill him. What's next? Exactly. And it's like, no, not exactly. Talk to us, Bruce.
He's supposed to be a young adolescent.
But that's the thing. It doesn't work. I have steam coming out of my ears from this. It's just also the fact that he could just shut everything off with a universal bat remote too. It's like, I'm gonna turn that off, turn the camera off. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not gonna turn that off. Turn the microphone off. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's just like click off. This is my HDR, you know, kind of thing. So, and even after retiring as Batman, he is still wanting to confess who he is. He could have locked the cave up, forgot about it, and he was just out of a joke or a former human. It's like, oh, by the way, I was Batman, but after our little entourage and everything else,
and then he could have shown her the cave. If
yeah, worst comes to worst. And that, I felt like actually that could have like sealed the deal and be a little bit more romantic, and plus it would have come full circle from the 1989 Batman film too, where Alfred brings Vicky Vale. He could have brought Dr. Chase. So much potential, yet they didn't use it. So
maybe it's a deleted scene.
It doesn't make it work. Like, okay, that's not how it works. I'm going to quote Han Solo there for a minute. That's not how it works. So, of course, Grayson is frustrated, disgruntled with Bruce. Therefore, he leaves through the Batcave as well. So we lose the cave. We lose Batman. Richard Grayson leaves.
But it's Halloween.
But it's Halloween, and Halloween progresses at the Wayne Manor. So the kids come in with trick or treating.
That didn't make sense to me either. How did they get there? There's supposed to be a gate in front of Wayne Manor, but whatever. Where are the parents? Alfred likes the kids.
I guess. So, Riddler and Two-Face, while Halloween is going on, they make a quick stop at Wayne Manor as well. Now that they figure out who Batman is, they decide to go and ransack the place themselves. Of course, Alfred's really starting to having really problems with his vision, because he can't tell the difference between an adult and a kid. You know,
they crouch down.
And they crouch down. I mean,
and then they raise their voice, just like trick or treat.
But you could tell it was Riddler and Two-Face. But oh well. Anyway,
you could tell. Alfred couldn't.
He's old. Sure, he could. Anyway, frustration. Schumacher, fun, isn't it? Anyway.
Meanwhile, Bruce and Chase are in there getting to know one another.
And the fact that she knew who he was by the kiss.
That made sense to me.
I mean, yeah. That does. It would make sense. I could kind of see that happening. And also, but the kid, like, you know, having kisses compared. What? Anyway.
No, the fact that it didn't make sense to him.
It's okay. So
I've only kissed a couple of women, including your mother, Chris.
Wow.
Anyways.
Wow.
We're 4 movies in, and it's starting. We're starting to draw lines here already. I was actually making a bet on this within like the second or third movie, but fourth movie's just as good.
It's just,
it is.
It brings out the worst.
Oh, if this brings out the worst of us, I cannot imagine what the next one's going to do. So, also the thing is, Bruce says, something I have never told anyone.
Again,
what?
Continuity.
Yeah. Oi, canon or non-canon? I mean, make up your mind, movie. What do you want to be?
So Bruce does over. Besides over, yeah, we're almost done. Thank God. So Bruce does reveal the rest of
45 minutes in.
We're not. We're not. Don't believe it. My God.
Still have another
Jeez.
100 minutes to go.
60 years later.
Later that same evening.
On that day, 1847, Bruce reveals the rest of his origin, which he reveals the journal, but we don't know what's in the journal, just the fact that Thomas Wayne has been writing in this journal, and he falls through the cave, revealing that he has discovered the Batcave when he was a kid, and the big bats coming after Wayne, terrifying
First time we
him.
saw how the origin of the Batcave.
Yes.
I did like when she knocks the rose off.
Mm-hmm.
That it triggers.
Yeah.
That works.
That makes sense.
That works. That makes sense. The rest of it, though, no, not really. It's like, okay, Bruce is lamenting the loss of his parents. That could have been perfect for him with Richard. Explain, like, you know, the death of his parents killed by the maniac, and then there would have been the flashback there to that scene. And you know, anyway,
I'm already tired of seeing how Batman's parents die.
Yeah, I mean, we've only seen it like twice within this movie already. 2 or 3 times, I think 3 times. Once in Batman, which makes sense, but you know, 3 times in Batman Forever because I was like, okay, we got it. He's an orphan. Parents were killed by criminal. Jack Napier. Moving on. Anyway, speaking of moving on, Bruce reveals the rest of the origin and how he discovered the Batcave and the bats that resided. Journal, we have no idea. And then I did this again too because I was sitting there. It's the villains come in, they're very energetic, very cartoonish, and then we have the heroes who are trying to be as serious can be, to which at this point my brain is screaming, please pick a mood. Do you want to be dark and mysterious, or do you want to be as campy and cartoonish? You can't have both without sacrificing the other. Work something together. So I'll show this once again. It's just because.
I mean, to me,
I curse a lot when I'm watching these movies. So
it just, I think it made sense for Bruce's demeanor to be what it was. I mean, he's Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne, yeah.
He's serious. He's buttoned up. It was a little more serious than the Michael Keaton. Portrayal.
I felt like they were trying to go back more to the 66.
A little bit,
because like the
I never got that up from that.
A little bit.
Well, it was this because it was like a mesh, but like they went real energetic and not so much realistic as they have been the past 2 movies.
There was a little bit of camp.
Yeah.
And get ready for more.
Anyway,
we just skip next week's.
No, we said 8. We're going through it. Rip the Band-Aid off, Tyler. You can do it. Anyway, so Alfred's attacked, leaving the manor and the Batcave open for attack. Riddler goes into the Batcave to go destroy it. Two-Face and his gang go off to capture Dr. Chase and try to capture Bruce Wayne if they can. If not, leave him to his ruin and what have you. Even though Two-Face and his happy little trigger finger just can't help it, he has to go and like flip his coin and try to figure out if they are going to live or die.
Just sit in the chair.
Yeah, it's just like he's like, oh, that was a cool move. Get you live or die. Ah, damn. Okay, Bruce Wayne. Oh, that was pretty cool. Live or die. Okay. Oh, there we go. Death. Boom.
Yeah. And it's a weird shot because
there was no debris, no blood.
Yeah.
There was like a little trickle. He's like down.
Well, no, he had a scar.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess it was just like
it grazed him.
Yeah, but there was like no bullet hole.
Slid down. That's what knocked him out.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we'll take that. So, and also to mention the fact that how Riddler destroys the Batcave too. How so very campy that was.
Yeah.
The movements, the gestures. I get it. Riddler's having his moment of victory. This is the first time we're actually seeing we're seeing the villains in the Batcave, but the Batcave being destroyed by the villains. This is
the fact that you say it's his moment of victory, but what they don't know is Bruce has just given up being Batman.
Yeah, just the irony of it all.
He would have not bothered him anymore.
There's a lot of bat suits in that Batcave too.
Yeah. And the bat suit was good in this one. I like it.
Yeah.
The newer one or the
newer one?
Okay.
Oh.
The newer one, yeah. It was, it didn't have the bat areolas.
It didn't have any colors. It's just the.
But it looked sleeker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's where they were kind of going more for the gray enabled bat symbol instead of having the black bat and the yellow emblem. They're just going to go with the straight bat symbol on the suit, which actually, for me, just because I was so used to the bat symbol and the bat emblem, it was a nice, refreshing pace to see this, just the symbol. It was kind of cool. So hopefully they'll switch that back again. I think they did that with Batman Incorporate for a little while, but we're getting into comic books here. So I skipped a few notes because we already talked about them. So Riddler leaves his last clue with Bruce as they flee the scene. So Two-Face has Dr. Chase. Riddler has his victory, leaves his last riddle, which is going to be the vowels. So we already have our next answer, which are the vowels. Of course, while Bruce Wayne and Alfred are trying to figure out the riddles within the riddle, Riddler is counting on counting on Batman going after Riddler, and rescuing Dr. Chase and making this yet another game of life and death with the riddles. So of course Riddler has to do his salt to the wound kind of thing and make his own Riddler sign rather than the bat signal. It's the Riddler signal.
That was so cool, though.
That was kind of interesting.
I really did enjoy that.
I still didn't quite get the vowel thing.
I don't think the vowels were the solution. I think it was just the numbers within the riddles, because they do figure that out. It's like, okay, yeah, these things are small and people use them, but it's the numbers within the riddles that's what makes it.
Spelled out mystery.
Mystery.
Like
Mystery.
Double entendre.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mystery or an enigma. So that's
I don't know. I never understood the little vowel
It was
thing
in
when
a
I was in
deleted
school
scene.
either.
deleted scene.
The AEI we use sometimes Y and W.
Yeah.
I'm like, when were Y and W vowels? I never saw.
When was W a vowel? Really?
It was in the deleted scene of school.
Deleted
You
scene.
had to be there.
Deleted scene at school. 4th grade deleted scene. The extra 40 minutes of your semester was cut.
That's what they did on the in-service.
The in-service.
So, and of course, I do like the new suit, but the way that they presented him getting suited up was kind of awkward. It made me feel kind of like a little weird, because it was like they're trying to get the suit up, but also they show him his butt, the bat butt.
That was weird.
Why?
What was the point of that? This one's for you, women. I was like, I mean, all right.
Doesn't help with the next. Doesn't help with the next movie. Anyway, so, so of course now the Batboat and Batwing make their triumphant return again as well, because
the Batwings was so cool.
Yeah, the Batwing looked really
like
cool.
Just hanging upside down like a bat. I was like, oh yeah.
It works. It makes sense. So of course,
we get Robin's official suit. And
yes,
everything.
Grayson makes his return because Batman is standing there going, "Where do I go? By land or by sea or by air? What do I pick?" And Grayson comes down. Why not both? And Grayson comes down.
And his suit was so much cooler than Batman's, in my opinion.
It works,
he could have done a Nightwing. Still, what's the R mean? Robin. I was like, okay. Who's your tailor?
And then Alfred's like, I took a liberty, and that's why I was like, Batman could have been like, Alfred, you just want to have a bat tour? Well,
right.
I guess.
We really need to talk about whose side.
We need to talk about security here, even though. Okay. So, alrighty. So both now they are christened as the dynamic duo. Both Batman and Robin go after Two-Face and Riddler.
Christened.
Yeah. Christened. Yes. Kristen, sorry.
Not Christian.
Sorry,
we're not
crucified yet. Not yet. So, all right. Of course, Batwing has to fly through the bat signal to resurrect it, to get rid of the Riddler symbol. Of course, it has that awkward. Val Kilmer does the bat pivot.
Yeah, he does.
Like, it's like efforts to go through.
There he is. Turn it off. Wait, there he is.
Yeah. Then Gordon's like, yeah, go. And I guess he's supposed to be like us. Like, yeah, go, Batman, go save the day, what have you. Yay.
He's really not gone.
So, yeah, save us from modern day Xfinity. Anyway. So, of course, Riddler and Two-Face have their own defense with the Riddler base, which is equivalent to Battleship.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough.
That was funny, though. Oh, you sunk my battleship.
B12, my favorite vitamin, by the way. So
good.
And of course, it's
so
very.
good.
Both vehicles have their very short-lived moment in the spotlight, because both are destroyed yet again. The Batboat first, and then the Batwing, which turned into the Bat Sub, and then it catapulted Val Kilmer out and saved Robin and everything.
Right.
So we have another Bat Sub Machina, because we didn't know it was gonna happen. So it was
Another
just,
Machina.
yeah, it was, because Robin was in the water. His bat
boat exploded in the water. He is caught by the Riddler gang, and of course, Riddler shoots down the Batwing. Batwing goes down, and we knew it as the Batwing for what it is, and of course, Batman ejects himself from the sub. There you go. Why not? And of course, our favorite line: "Holy rusted metal, Batman!"
Yeah, and he said, "Why did you say that?"
It's like because it's it's made of metal and it's rusted and it's holy, full of holes.
Such a callback to 66. Though. I love that they did that.
It was 2 a.m. and this is what.
Nice.
Oops! It was 2 o'clock in the morning at this point.
Us porn on your phone.
It's not. It's just the notes because
I love the callback. I'm glad they
Why do you
finally
have a
did
picture
that.
of bat nipples on your phone?
I don't.
Oh, sorry.
They're trying to get me in trouble. Anyway, the Riddler fashioned himself a Wily-like... I said Dr. Wily-like castle. It was at 2 a.m. at this point. I was so tired watching this movie because then the Riddler lair decided to rise up many levels. Why? I have no idea.
Ladder.
Yeah.
So
He said, Batman points to the ladder and just goes, oh, okay.
yeah. So Batman and Robin split up, leaving Robin to fight Two-Face alone. And I had a little video game moment when Batman's climbing up the ladder and there's this death trap coming down at him. I'm singing the song to Snake Eater, Metal Gear Solid 3 as he's going up. I'm saying Snake Eater as he's going up the ladder. I was very tired at this point. So Robin and Two-Face have their battle, and Robin knocks Two-Face off the edge but saves him, which ends up being Robin's capture. And it's funny that Two-Face says, "Oh, the bat taught you well," and I'm like, "Taught him what?" They just had 5 minutes of arguing, and then 2 minutes of agreing.
Yeah,
and
but he doesn't
come
know
after.
that.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Know that.
I'm sure. Okay, but it just
Deleted scene.
Whatever. Deleted. Yeah, deleted scene. That's where I went. Taught him what? Anyway, so Batman takes the express elevator to meet Riddler. And of course, Riddler is now upgraded to his ultimate form.
With the bedazzled suit.
His Frankenfurter glitter and his hair stylized the way it is, and his his white jumpsuit now, which
Just did not like that character.
That jumpsuit never makes a callback to any other comic book ever, or movie or game ever. So I just called him Ultra Riddler. Because that's what eventually at that point because it took itself into a video game.
He could be the bedazzler.
The bedazzler.
The bedazzler.
Yeah.
That was one of his options, but
So, but Riddler does bring up an interesting aspect to the villain's scheme as to use data as control and controlling data, manipulation of media entertainment to make us all just humble as guinea pigs and keep feeding information and data to this corporation. So I give it props to that. Probably the only prop I will give apart from that. So interesting. In fact, that this came out around the time that the internet was first introduced to the home, to houses and schools,
houses,
and So
5 was about
yeah. And not to mention the fact that Riddler is talking to himself as a god, but not to mention he also makes a Zool growl too. Like, he just, drops his voice into such octaves that he just, it sounds like a growl from the Ghostbusters movie. And I'm like, is that really necessary?
was that too much?
Was that over the top? I can never tell! and that's the Schumacher line that he used in between takes. So, Riddler tests the riddle in itself if Batman and Bruce can coexist together. So, basically, it's the Spider-Man routine. You put, what makes Batman Batman, what makes Bruce Wayne, and see which one the superhero is going to go after first, if they are the superhero, which identity is going to actually topple over. And of course, Batman has a clever way to trick the Riddler, kind of. So just kind of flick a button on his utility belt and makes the wild cool looking. What the hell is that? Is it a bat scanner, bat targeting system? It doesn't
probably.
really. Sure,
It doesn't really say.
That was a prototype. No labels.
And then I just called it the Sonic Batarang, the first Sonic Batarang.
Robin just got there, so he hasn't had time to label everything.
That's true.
He wasn't grounded yet.
Yes. So yeah, the Sonic Batarang Machina saves the day, destroys the box, and then I did not realize that all that information in the brain could just be ejected out the way it did, too. It was very, very haunting and not in a good way either.
I was waiting for his head to shrivel up.
Yeah.
You know,
And in a way, it kind of does at the end.
It does a little bit. But
It's freaky looking and not in a good way. I didn't even know it was. He looked completely normal throughout the whole movie. Now this causes disfiguration. Sure, okay. None of this has been making sense so far. So destroying the Enigma box causes the lair to explode and for Enigma to lose all his intelligence, which he drops both Chase and Robin down into the watery grave, and of course Batman saves both of them in time.
you notice though he saved her first.
Yeah, he did save her
'Cause he's
first.
a smart man.
He did save her first. Yes. So I made the joke here
She
too.
didn't weigh as much.
You weigh a little more than 108. So Spider-Man did this trick too, but we are on this movie anyway. So Two-Face has his final confrontation with Batman as well. Batman uses psychological warfare against Two-Face rather than using fisticuffs. He just says, you
so
can't.
smart though.
That is a very clever way to stop Two-Face.
Throw a bunch of coins.
Yeah.
That was really smart though.
It was. I mean, it was. It works.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they did it with the animated series too. Is that's how he stopped Two-Face the first time, was that they were in the bank and Batman just grabbed a bag of money and just ripped it open, and when the coin dropped onto the ground, Harvey couldn't find the coin because it's a two-headed coin. Of course, Two-Face brings the line, "Thank you, Bruce. You've always been a wonderful friend." Really?
Yeah, I didn't.
When did the friendship thing happen? When did we have a monologue about that? When did we have a discussion about this?
Deleted scenes.
Sure. We'll put it into the void. We'll put it into the void. Fine. Okay.
You're asking for a lot.
So, yeah, I am. I want a plot that makes sense, damn it. So Batman throws the coins into the air.
Give it a couple movies. You're still not going to make next week.
Batman ends up killing Two-Face. Anyway,
technically it wasn't him that killed him.
He threw the coins up in the air.
He didn't know. He was like,
He didn't. He wouldn't have to throw the coins. He could just. He could have done something else.
He didn't even try to save him either. They all three just went.
Oh, bye.
Well, he's dead.
Okay, bye. Well, that's done. And then and you can see Robin in his face, and he's just like, is that either satisfaction or is that pure rage? Because
I couldn't tell what that was.
Because that would have been like, oh my god, Bruce just took my kill. He told me not to kill. Yeah, he killed him.
Spawn killer.
But Bruce would say, I didn't kill him.
Yeah. That's an accident.
If he had just stood there when the coins were...
It is like the extremely cheesy death hand when he was falling into the water and the coin hit it. I was like,
they did it in Batman with...
Yeah.
But that's the rising of the Joker. I mean, not the
falling
same.
of the Two-Face.
And then you had the hand with the dead flowers in Batman.
Yeah. I don't think it works. We all go very quiet.
That was like... And that's pretty much the movie. Besides, I feel like it was such a abrupt ending.
Yeah, kids don't, and I said this. Kids don't ever cheat to obtain knowledge.
Like they had the moment where it was Arkham Asylum, and they because he was saying he knew who Batman was, and Dr. Chase was going to figure it out. And he's like, I'm the Batman. I was like, y'all couldn't have asked him that. Why are you having the doc come in?
Tells him your secret's
He's
safe.
Yeah.
And then he sees the bat signal, and she says, "Don't work too late."
Yeah, I guess that's another callback to '89. But it's I'm kind of like Tyler with this one. It doesn't really feel as satisfying.
So
yeah, it's so.
But then you have the running of the Batman and Robin right at the end.
But it would have made more sense to see Richard and Bruce together, and they looked at each other and they see the signal, and they're like, "Duty calls, partners," and then partners, and they shake hands again. That would have been a bit. That would have been a little bit better.
I don't know.
It would have set up the next movie.
Yeah.
It really, truly, because if Schumacher already had Batman and Robin already planned, you might as well just go ahead and do that already and just say, okay, yep, we're making another sequel because we know this one's going to hit big.
So bad.
So, so basically, Tyler just wrapped up the rest of the summary for me. It was
there's nothing.
There's
just nothing else to.
But that's the end of Batman Forever. Yay!
Oh God!
This only leads the inevitable.
I can say that it would have been nice. This isn't a spoiler, really, but Nicole Kidman doesn't come back in the next one.
But does her character come back?
There would have been room for her, because
Yeah, they really truly could have been. They're really truly.
I mean, there's no real. There's kind of a thing with Poison Ivy, but
Oh, we'll
it's
talk.
it's because of her abilities.
Yeah.
You know, it's in her.
Oh, we'll get to talk plenty about that next
So
week.
there would have been room, even if it had been 2 or 3 scenes, to have had her back, to have some continuity.
Right.
I mean, you've already got Chris O'Donnell carried over. You've got the same Alfred, the same Gordon at that point. So
Yeah,
Not the
it
same
would have.
Batman. We got
Anyway.
Mr. the Dreamy George Clooney.
Even-
this one,
Yes, this one.
We're gonna rank it, but before we get to the ranking, we have to
Yeah,
list
buddy.
where we're at right now with our rankings.
yes, we do.
So number 1,
Number 1.
Batman 89.
Yes.
Number 2, Batman Returns.
Cool.
And number 3, Batman 66. This will be our halfway through moment, halfway through point. We're gonna get into our top 4 for the moment. But Chris,
Cool.
let's get to your ranking.
All right, so I went into this, and I mentioned this to Jack earlier. I went into this with very low opinions of this movie, and I'd always, from my memories, thought of Val Kilmer as the worst of the Batman portrayers.
Did you tell him that when you met him?
No.
Okay.
I mean, not bad, and I love a lot of his other stuff, but that was the memory I had of it. I'm glad for the rewatch because my opinion changed.
Good.
I think he did a really good job as Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Kidman was great in her role as well. As was, look, Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, the character was a little over the top, but that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think if they had gone darker, he could have done a really good job with that character.
Oh yeah.
That way as
A
well.
little more of a serious role.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of Chris O'Donnell's performance in this movie.
No.
Oh, just in
I
this
didn't-
one
I
alone.
think
I didn't
some
like
of
the
it's-
writing for his
Yeah,
character.
I didn't like the
hated
writing for the
his
character. I didn't like the fact that they cast him with him being older to play a young kid. I
Yeah.
didn't think that worked.
I felt like while they were doing it, they were like, we want a young kid, but we also want an older kid. So like they kept conflicting
Then
themselves.
get a
Yeah.
teenager, for God's
It
sake.
didn't make sense to
And
me.
I was not a fan of Jim Carrey in this movie.
I see I'm the exact opposite of Jim Carrey.
I just got tired of the character.
Mm.
It didn't do anything for me. I like some of his movies, but a lot like I like The Number 23. I like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
That's good.
I like The Mask.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
like some of his performances, but this is just not one of those that
Stood out to you.
I was happy with.
Yeah.
The story has continuity issues that cost it some points, but I'm not going as low as you might think.
Oh god.
How low can you go, Chris?
I'm actually going to come in at a 6.5 on this.
Really?
I'm going to come in at a 6 because I
Wow.
think, to me, before this I thought I would probably give it like a 4.
You gave it a higher rating than 66.
5.5. Really?
Yeah. And really, it was Kilmer's performance.
Yeah.
On the
Fair.
rewatch.
Personal grade.
C+.
Really?
Yeah.
Oof.
Jack.
All right, I am a man who loves a consistent storyline, and this did not work for me at all. A lot of questions came up when I watched it. Now, I'm like Chris, I knew what I was getting myself into, so that kind of
Right.
eased the blow a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. And I did enjoy Val Kilmer's performance in it. It was good, not great, but for this kind of movie, it was passable. The soundtrack was not as appealing because it's nothing but screeching trumpets and everything else, very distracting, and it was it got annoying.
They
for me at
they
the
should
end.
have done what it took to get Danny Elfman back.
Oh yeah, and Tommy Lee Jones's performance, I was very disappointed in because it was just really over the top, really campy for him, and it was startling to see that and see Two-Face, as a tragic character for he is, and just be so, I got a lot of notes on the next one too. How he was just wrongfully depicted in this comic book this comic book movie, and Jim Carrey's performance did not help things either. I used to like it as a kid because I was,
it's cartoonish.
It was cartoonish. I was 8 years old, and it was entertaining. It was certainly less because the penguin terrified me when I was 5. So to see the Riddler on the screen was a little easier on the eyes when I was a kid. Now, as a critic, it was annoying. It was way over the top. Jim Carrey, I agree with you. Jim Carrey, when he's in his own movies, it works because he knows the element, he knows the mixture. But when you're working with other mega stars like this one, like a big project, Man on the Moon, Eternal Sunshine, Number 23, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Ace Ventura, the first one, it was, those were good. This one, he was trying to put so much of Jim Carrey in this movie that there was not enough to go around.
I wonder if the director said that though. Like if Schumacher said, these have been your performances. This is why I want you to be the Riddler. So try and implement that into the movie, or if it was just Jim Carrey just being Jim Carrey.
I think it was Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah. And that's what caused a lot of the chemistry in the movie to be so rigid. Like, not rigid, but like it's very shaky. I did not have any chemistry between Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. I didn't have any chemistry feelings between Two-Face and Riddler, even though they're villains. I understand they have their differences, but even then they find a way to work together and work really well together. But you can tell there's nothing there that made me want to connect with these characters emotionally, except for maybe the love interest between Dr. Chase and Bruce Wayne. I mean, those were done well, not as well as I want them to be done. There was like some of that flirtation was just very front, and I guess that's just not me as as a person, as an actor.
I think they could have had one less villain.
Really
and explored that story a little bit more with Dr. Meridian and Bruce.
It would have been interesting to just have Riddler and then just have the whole mind game thing going on between questioning Bruce Wayne with his own identity and having Dr. Chase like be convoluted with
because you could have had the Two-Face thing, like the opening scene. And that would have been it with Two-Face. And then that kind of introduced the Riddler kind of sort of, I feel like that's what they should have done.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact of making Gotham City look like a nightclub 24/7 hurt my eyes. Yeah. Some of the architecture, the buildings and the structure in itself look like a homage to Tim Burton. If you ever see the Christmas tree and they have the two men with the gear mechanisms, I thought that was brilliant. The architecture was nice, spot on. If it were still like a Tim Burton production, which it kind of shows, but you could tell that it was
rid of the neon.
But the colors, the bright colors,
the spotlights everywhere.
My God, it was too much, way too much.
Drinking.
But yeah, there's a lot of plot holes. The writing wasn't good. It was for what it was. I don't know what it was trying to be, but whatever it was trying to be at the time just didn't work. Therefore, my ranking is you're gonna love this. It's gonna be a 4.
Ooh, that's his lowest ranking to date.
Hard, yeah.
What about your grade?
It's going to be a C-.
Well, see, here's my thing, and. So for all the reasons y'all didn't like the Riddler, that's why I love Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I don't know what it was. I had fun every time he was on the screen. I don't know if it's just because I love that Jim Carrey acting style, and especially since they didn't go the serious route with Two-Face, it kind of made sense to me. But like if they would have went the serious route with Two-Face, they should have done the serious route, and vice versa and everything. But my ranking for it, I hated. My wife's gonna kill me because she loves these movies because of Chris O'Donnell. Hated Chris O'Donnell.
Oh, that was
hated the direction.
The other reason why I got a 4 is Chris O'Donnell.
And the thing is, he's done other stuff where he's good.
Yeah, I just don't. And that's like I feel like it's all of these actors and actresses. I just don't understand the direction that Schumacher wanted to do.
I don't think he did.
Here's the thing. That's what I noticed, especially with his like. Later in the movies, like 2002's Phantom of the Opera, real quick, Schumacher has this wonderful vision in mind of the costuming, the set design, and the atmosphere, but like everything else, he just doesn't click for some reason. Like he's all about the eye candy, but not about the stimulation within the senses.
To be fair, I mean, 40 minutes of footage got deleted. So
Yeah,
but what was
we
the
don't
40
know
minutes?
we know what part of it was.
I just don't, especially with me loving Nightwing so much as a character. I love the call to it, to Nightwing as a name, but I don't understand. I hated the aspect of Robin and Batman because it doesn't make any sense. And I felt like you said, Val Kilmer was probably the best part of this movie. The Batman and Alfred relationship and like the Batcave stuff was more fun to me than anything else in the movie. I mean, I'm giving it a 5. So I just don't.
That's your lowest so far too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think 6 was my lowest before this.
The C- is not the lowest letter grade I've given yet. I have actually given that to another video game on the site so far.
And mine's a C, period.
Yeah.
So this is if I am ranking all of this correctly.
Chris, you were very merciful with this movie.
I was, yeah.
But that's the brilliant thing about these podcasts is that we, it kind of like gives us different interpretations, different insight as to what we see these movies and how we perceive these movies. And honestly, there's like 3 different view sets. We've seen Batman at 3 different points in our lives. So I mean, it's interesting to see how we see.
What he's trying to say is I'm old.
He called me young, so I'll take it.
There you go.
So the ranking is now as follows. Number 1, Batman 89. Number 2, Batman Returns. Number 3, Batman 66. And now number 4, Batman Forever.
4 is forever.
But it won't be Forever 4.
No. So, God, that's ironic. But guys, that's all we have for this week. Our next movie, if you are watching along with us, is of course
Batman and Robin.
So does Schumacher direct the next one as well?
Yes.
Oh God, so Batman and Robin. But
bring the holy water.
Yeah. So we are going to have a special guest, Charlie Ridgely from comicbook.com, will be joining us. His ranking in this will not affect our rankings because he's not here for all the movies and everything.
We'll need a bigger table.
I will. We'll work on that. But we'll same thing. We'll go through with it. We'll have all 3 of ours plus Charlie's commentary. He'll give his own ranking and things like that, but they just won't go into the continuity of our ranking and how they stack for us since he's not here for all.
Would he do it for his website though? Okay, so this is just kind of a rogue rating.
Yeah. Just like his. It would be just basically. We'll just ask his personal rating. It won't be like we'll ask his letter grade.
Go for it. Sounds good to me.
So guys, that is it for this week. You can follow Jack's video game reviews on Nerdwide.com. You can tune in to Chris and I's weekly podcast, Hero Cravings, episode by episode there. Our season 1 just ended of Hero Cravings Arrowverse. Oh, what a bittersweet that we went 38 episodes. But you can follow me on Twitter at Ty_Haynes. You can follow Chris at MathTN7. And you can follow Jack in real life or on Nerdwide.com.
Yeah, follow him around. He doesn't mind.
He doesn't mind.
Actually, I kind of do. Just let me know you're there. Thank you.
And then you can follow
Please.
Nerdwide's own Twitter account at nerd_wide. We do post polls there resulting in things and potentially some behind-the-scenes things of this show. But don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, if not on YouTube or as a podcasting service. But until next week, Heroes and Villains, where we will rank Batman and Robin.
Till then.
See ya.